Stand. Make sure my volume's off on my phone. Hold on one second. There we go. Stand up, New York Giant fans. I was on time today. Hopefully my computer doesn't crash. I'm in the process of getting a new one. Haven't gone live and talked to you guys solo for a while. So I figured I'd do that tonight. I've had a lot of guests on. I actually really enjoy talking to the chat, fielding some of your guys' questions, talking about the Giants, talking about the Cowboys, talking about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Of course, the New York Giants this week have their first NFC East matchup. Make sure I got my chat here. Going up against the Dallas Cowboys. It'll be our first of 5 out of the next 6 games, I believe. We're playing the NFC East. It's a big game. Anytime you play the Cowboys, it's a big game. I haven't beaten the Cowboys in a very long time. We swept them in 2016, have not beaten them since. Cowboys and the Giants right now are kind of complete opposites. The Dallas Cowboys have an explosive offense and a very bad defense. The New York Giants, the defense has been surprisingly a bright spot so far this year, coming off their best defensive performance of the year. And the offense, well, scored 9 points last week, 9 points the week before. We've definitely struggled in that department. So to me, I'm going to talk about the game with you guys. This is a battle of the opposites. I think the New York Giants got to find a way to control the clock, win the time of possession, and I think maybe they'll at least have an opportunity to keep this game competitive. I want to say thank you to everybody for being here. I know we got a Yankee game on tonight. You got the NBA Finals. I'm a Met fan, and I'm a Knicks fan, so I don't really care much about the Finals, and I don't really care much about the Yankees. So I want to talk New York Giants. That's what I do on this channel. So thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. Duchess Bertha the Goddess, thank you so much for love. I really appreciate it. Hey, Chris, did Fisk tell you I'm his girl? No, Duchess. I did not know that. But congratulations. Congratulations on that. I don't know what to say to that, but thank you for tuning into the stream, Fisk girl. Mr. Minigun, man, thank you so much for love. I really appreciate it. 47 points, only 3 touchdowns. The offense has been bad. The offense has been bad. We've only had 2 passing touchdowns for the year. We haven't gotten in the end zone in the last 2 weeks. It's like Daniel Jones has forgotten what the end zone looks like. Not just Jones, the offense in general. And obviously there's blame to go around. A lot of people are pointing the fingers at, and that's what happens when a team is bad. A lot of people are pointing the fingers at individuals. I personally think it's a culmination of things. I don't think it's just Daniel Jones. I don't think it's just Jason Garrett. I don't think it's just the offensive line. I don't think it's just the wide receiver. I think it's a little bit of everything. And I think until such time they get more familiarity, I think it'll start to get better. But we may not have a good offense by year's end. I don't know. I think it'll get better. It's what I thought at the beginning of the year. And I think this week you're going to start to see it at least take shape to where we have a more respectable offense. I'm not going to tell you we're going to go out there and drop 30 points. I don't think that, but I do think I'm at least encouraged off the run blocking from last week. I think the New York Giants will be able to establish some kind of ground game, and that should set up Daniel Jones. And with how bad the Dallas Cowboys secondary has been this year, they're banged up. I expect the New York Giants to try to take some shots down the field and put some points up on the board. What's going on, Sabrina? What's going on there, sports influencer? What's going on, Henny? Thanks for popping in, my man. Adamant, stand up. Please stand up, Giants. Yes, please stand up, New York Giants. Please stand up, New York Giants. If you're ever going to win a week, make it this one. I mean, let's beat the friggin' Cowboys. And I want to beat the Eagles, too. I haven't beaten them in forever. Mike, man, thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Bro says, Captain Chris Canoli. Triple C. Mike Nation says, stand up, entertainer. How you doing, my man? How has Andrew Thomas been playing? I've been hearing good. I've been hearing bad. So I figure I ask you, listen, I was actually watching Bobby's from Talking Giants Film Breakdown. Does a fantastic job. Andrew Thomas last week seemed like he struggled the first maybe quarter and a half. The offensive line in general, but him specifically, they were kind of beating up on him. He hasn't been great. I'm not going to tell you he has. I thought week 1 he really played well. He's gone up against some really good defenses. And, a tackle takes some time. I'm not going to go crazy about Andrew Thomas. I've seen people making videos about it. I'm not even going to bother with that. He's a rookie. We need to give him a little bit of time, guys. I still think Andrew Thomas is going to be a very good left tackle. I'm not too worried about it. I think he'll play good this week. I think he'll get progressively better over the course of the year. He's known to be more of a run blocker, and as they start to get the ground game going, I think that'll get him into his groove. I think Thomas is going to be fine with the Giants. I'm really not worried about it. He may not be elite, and that's kind of what I said from the start. I thought he was a really safe pick. I think he's going to be a good left tackle no matter what, with the possibility of being great. Let's see what we got here. Pastor Ray, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it, man. What's going on, Christopher Hidalgo, man? Thanks for popping in. Pastor Ray, man, thank you very much. I think what you said came true from day one. A lot of the fan base expected superstardom from DJ this year, and now they're angry that he's not that. Yeah, I mean, that's what happens. That's what happened, man. The New York Giants drafted him 6th overall. And with that, and you factor in New York, you factor in that it's a starved fan base, and you factor in that we haven't been to the playoffs in, one time in the last 8 years. A lot of people were calling for Eli Manning's job over the last 3 years of his career. People were ecstatic when he came into the game. Then you factor in that he went out there and he bowled out against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the expectations were sent sky high. And I tried to, not just me, a lot of people, I think, tried to temper the expectations a bit going into the year. And this is what happens. People had sky high expectations, and he's come out horrible. I'm not going to say he hasn't. He's definitely looked sluggish. He's still got 12 games to improve, and I think he can. But we got to give him the opportunity. Dog Tag, man, thank you so much, man. I appreciate that, man. Great supporter of my channel. Hey, Chris, do you think we should move Evan Ingram to wide receiver? And what do you think this offensive line looks like in the future, personnel-wise? That is a great question. I've been asked that Evan Ingram question forever. About how we should utilize him. Should we make him more of a wide receiver? I don't think Evan Ingram will ever be a full-time wide receiver. I would like to see them utilize him a bit more on the outside, use him a bit more in the passing game, and everything that's been to Ingram has been checkdowns. Even last week you saw it. It was even his biggest play. It was like a 14-yard gain, and he broke a tackle. He ran for an extra 6 or 7 yards. The first week I liked what they did. He got called for the offensive pass interference, but I want to see more of that. Those seams up the middle of the field, 20 yards down the field, they got to start trying to stretch out this defense. I'd like to see him use more in that capacity. In terms of the second part of your question, how does the offensive line look in terms of personnel-wise in the future? I mean, I think Andrew Thomas is definitely one of your tackles. I'm thinking he's going to be the left. We'll have to wait and see if we draft a guy like Penny Sewell, but I think Thomas is probably your left tackle of the future. Definitely going to be a tackle regardless. I'll tell you what. I can't definitively say Nick Gates yet. I like Nick Gates. The guy's got spunk. Now I don't know if he's going to be the center. You saw him struggling with the high snaps, but you saw Nick Gates getting into it. He got into the fight there. I got pumped up when he got in that fight with Aaron Donald. I thought he did a good job last week. So I like Nick Gates. I think he's going to be a part of this offensive line in some capacity, whether it's the center, whether it's the guard, whether it's the right tackle, whatever it is. I think we got two guys there that are going to be a part of the future of this offensive line. Outside of that, we don't know what we got with Matt Parrott yet. Obviously, we hope that he works out. Will Hernandez, who knows? I'm going to give him the year. I know he's working between two new offensive linemen, but he's got to get a lot better. And Zeitler. But I actually thought Hernandez played good this week. I thought he played pretty well this week, and hopefully he progresses. It's hard for me to say. I think you got at least 2, if not 3 core pieces, with potentially be 4 core pieces of your offensive line going forward. But they need continuity. They need to learn to play together. That's what makes great offensive lines. So we got to give it a little bit of time. Christopher Nauman, your message got retracted. You might have done that by accident. What's going on, Jake, man? Thanks for popping in the stream. If you just type it in the chat, you don't have to super chat. I'll try to find it. I got your logo, the giant skull, so I'll try to find it. Sorry it got retracted. Maybe it happened by accident there. Pastor Ray, man, thank you very much. I appreciate it. DJ really set this kid up for failure without a line or a number 1 wide receiver like OBJ. After the Tampa game, he said, this is why we picked him. His arrogance shows. Listen, man, what's going on there? Sports influencer. Thanks for popping in. Bigger Mike in the chat. Gideon Vinkerty. Great Wuda. Great Wuda. I thought Nick Gates blocked well last week. I thought he blocked well last week. I do. And I'm not saying he's great yet. I don't think he's a finished product, but I do like Nick Gates. Now, he's got to work on the snapping, and maybe center's not going to be a spot. Maybe it'll be the guard. Do you think DJ is a franchise quarterback? All right, Chris, I'll get to that in 1 second. I got to answer Pastor Ray. Do I think that he set him up for – yes. Listen, man. The New York Giants set Barkley up for failure. They set Jones up for failure. They did. And it's not, they didn't intentionally do it. I don't want to act like they made horrible mistakes. They attempted to get this offensive line situated, but they tried to do both at the same time. They didn't have a ready-made offensive line. They drafted Hernandez the same year, and they signed Solder. To their credit, they tried, just like Reese tried. Reese missed on several offensive linemen. Gettleman seemingly has missed on offensive linemen. We're all hoping that Hernandez gets better. I think he's got opportunity. Solder, of course, was a bad signing. So they tried, but it didn't work out. And because of that, well, you saw what happened to Barkley this year. He wasn't running good even before the injury. He wasn't running that well last year because the offensive line can't block that well. And the wide receiver, I definitely get the frustration with New York Giants fans pertaining to Odell Beckham because right now we don't have a number one option. So I get it. I was a guy that was outspoken about the trade. I thought it was a good trade. I still understand the trade, but I understand the frustration as well because we don't have any weapons on the outside. So I definitely see both sides of it. In terms of Chris's question about Daniel Jones, I don't know yet, man. Yeah, I don't know yet. You know, you've got some people. This is the way it works, man. Everybody wants to be right. Everybody wants to be the first person to say that they called it. You know, he's not a franchise quarterback. He is a franchise quarterback. My answer to you is anybody that's telling you he definitely is a franchise quarterback is wrong. And anybody who's telling you he definitely is not a franchise quarterback is wrong. What I can tell you is the New York Giants did not set him up for success. I'll tell you that right now. But is he the type of quarterback that could put the team on his back? I have my doubts. It's why I wasn't in love with picking him in the first place. I think he'd be a good quarterback if you put the right team around him. But right now, the New York Giants don't have that. So we still got to see a lot more of him before we come to that conclusion. Peyton Manning didn't look like a franchise quarterback through his first 16 starts. Eli Manning didn't look like a franchise quarterback through like his first 30 starts. So some quarterbacks, it takes time. Alex Smith, it took 5-6 years, and he went through several offensive coordinators before he finally clicked. You know, we're all hoping that it clicks much sooner for Daniel Jones. I can't give you a definitive answer on that. I just can't. I'm not going to quit on him. I need to see more from him. But so far this year, he's come out sluggish. He's definitely struggled so far this year. Looks like Rayo got blocked a bit. I don't know what he said. Maybe he was spamming in the chat. Let's see what we got here. He's got 16 games under his belt. Give Jones time. Exactly. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying to the fans. Give him time. I mean, it's 16 games at the quarterback position. It's almost as if he finished his rookie season, if he started from day one, and he's had to play in two different schemes. Completely different schemes with a bad offensive line, and we're complaining about our receivers. What does he really have? And Barkley's down. So I think we got to be fair in our evaluation. I don't want to jump the gun. I understand, even though I don't even want to talk about the draft yet, that's why I don't make a lot of videos on it. I understand the thought process behind a guy like Lawrence just because people are saying he is otherworldly. And no matter who your quarterback is, when you have an opportunity to improve it by that much, if he's as good as people say, I understand that. But I don't think we need to force a quarterback pick. It's way too early. Chizola, man, thank you very much, man. Matt D, man, thanks so much, man. What's going on? Thank you for popping in the stream. If we want to score over 10 next game, something's wrong. I'll take 10. I'll take 10 right now. We've got 9 the last. No, I'm kidding. In this game, to be honest with you, I want at least 20 points, minimum 20 points. I think they could put up more than that, but I want a minimum of 20 points. This Dallas Cowboys defense is completely banged up. They're missing Van Der Esch, one of their best players on their defense. Their secondary was a weakness as is. That's banged up. The New York Giants should be able to throw in this team, and they should be able to run on them as well. I don't. There's no excuse for the Giants not to have a decent offensive performance. I'm not saying they got to look flawless, but they have to put some points up on the board. They have to move the football, and they have to score in the red zone. That, to me, has been the thing that I'm most disappointed with so far this year. The red zone offense has been bad. It's been really bad. And in this game, I think the New York Giants, Cowboys are going to move the ball 20-20. You got to hold them to field goals. You just do. They're going to move the ball. They got a lot of weapons on their offense. You have to hold them to 3 when they get close to the end zone. Can't give up a lot of touchdowns, and we have to convert when we get close. And we can't turn the ball over. We say that every week. Duchess, man, thank you very much. My boyfriend thinks that he's Peyton Manning. Go, boys. Well, Duchess, I appreciate the love. Thank you very much. I don't think he thinks he's Peyton Manning. I think he said that he thought Daniel Jones. Oh, you're talking about Daniel Jones. Yes. Yeah, well, Fisk likes Daniel Jones. It is what it is. Clock says, bro, how come Becton is already a beast, but you need to say Thomas hopefully will improve? Is this fate or Giants? Clocks, let's be fair, Clocks. Can you really, truly evaluate a player 4 games into his career? Can you really, truly evaluate a player 4 games into his career? I mean, really, can you? Let's also factor in that he has a quarterback. Let's also factor this in, Clocks. I'm going to ask you a question, Clocks. Why is it that the offensive lines in New England were always great? They had a great offensive line coach for one. They also had a phenomenal quarterback that was able to read defenses very well. We could agree with that, right? Tom Brady gets the ball out faster than anybody else. Makes the offensive line look better than they really are. Nate Solder, right? Nate Solder looked great there. Doesn't look so good here. So that definitely is part of it, right? You factor in that Daniel Jones is in a completely new offense, and he wasn't great at reading defenses in his rookie year to begin with. It takes some time. Sam Darnold is now in the same system for 2 straight years. That plays a factor as well, not to mention the Jets have not gone up against the level of pass rushers that the New York Giants have. Mekhi Becton could be great. That doesn't mean Andrew Thomas can't either. He's young. I mean, he's 4 games into his career. Let's pump the brakes on the Andrew Thomas hate. Okay, let's pump the brakes on the Andrew Thomas hate. Let's see what we got here. Michael, man, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. And he says, things take time. Give Jones a chance. This disposable world mentality is seeping into our fandom, and we don't need it. Michael, I agree. I completely agree with you. I completely agree. There's no, and it's not just with Jones. It's with the team in general. Now, even I have folded to the Gettleman stuff because I've just gotten sick and tired of defending him. I like sustainability. I like some of the things he's tried to do. And if I could have a beer with anybody in the Giants, it'd probably be Dave Gettleman. But I get that aspect of it at this point. But I'm gonna tell you what, man, the instant gratification, to me, it could screw things up. And everybody's going nuts about the Cardinals. Everybody's going nuts about the Cardinals. Oh, well, they did it. What have the Cardinals done? Everybody's saying, oh, Kyle, what have they done? They're 2-2. They're 2-2. They just lost to 2 of the worst teams in football. What have they done? You have to be patient, and you have to hope that this works out and they continue to grow. I'm not telling you not to be upset as a fan base. You have every right to be upset. This team has struggled. This team has not played well over the last 4 or 5 years. But we have to see some of these things carry through and improve over time. Goatish things, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. If we have a top 2 pick, the Giants are going to have a new starting quarterback. Top 1 pick, I think, for sure. Top 2 pick, I don't know, man. No, I will not, Pizzle. No, I've been a Giants fan my whole life. By the way, go check out Pizzle. Pizzle, if you want to come on the channel, by the way, you're more than welcome. I see you're in the chat. You want to come on the channel to talk Cowboys? You're more than welcome. I'll drop you the link if you want to come on. Thank you for popping on the stream. But no, I've been a Giants fan my whole life. I'm not switching teams. Goda says, if we have a top 2 pick, the Giants are going to have a new starting quarterback. I would say top 1. There's a good chance, especially if we change GMs. Top 2, I don't know. It depends on how they evaluate the position. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping that Daniel Jones proves people wrong. He plays well down the stretch. But it's possible. I mean, there's 3 quarterbacks that people are talking about. They're talking about Trey Lance. They're talking about Justin Fields. My response to that is, if I'm a GM, the only way I even consider taking a quarterback in this year's draft is if I feel he's a once in every 5 or 6 years talent. Because I still feel like I have something with Daniel Jones, and I have so many holes on this roster. I am not going to force a quarterback pick for a player, and I'm not saying that these guys are them. I'm not a professional scout. I haven't done a ton of research on these players. But if I feel Fields is a really good quarterback prospect, but he's the type of guy getting any draft, I'm not forcing the pick. If Trevor Lawrence is a once in every 5, 6 years type player, you take him. I understand that. It's the most important position. Let's see what we got here. Gisolo says, was watching the film from Mike, and we could have had 4 touchdowns. Just don't convert in the end in the red zone. Our offense gets down the field, just needs to finish. Yeah, our red zone offense last week was horrible. Our red zone offense last week was abysmal. It was horrible. And it's been horrible the entire year. And what's really ironic about that, I talked to Mike about it today on his channel. The New York Giants last year were in the red zone. I think Jones was 12 touchdowns, 0 picks in the red zone. He's already thrown a pick this year in the red zone. Might have thrown multiple. I'm not sure, but definitely the one in the Steelers game. Hasn't converted at all. He had 2 opportunities within the 4-yard line twice. Didn't get it in. And then last week, he was in there several times. Couldn't get it in. The red zone offense has to get much better. And that's where quarterbacks make their money. And we need him to step up in that area. Thank you very much, Zoe. I appreciate it, man. Pastor Ray, man, thank you very much. He says, one of my concerns with getting Garrett was due to DJ's arm strength. I think he's better in Shermer's West Coast offense with quick throws. I agree with you. To be completely honest, I was worried about that myself. I didn't know what to think when it came to his arm strength coming into the year. I thought he fit Shermer's scheme very well. I thought that was a big reason why we drafted him. I'm not saying Daniel Jones has bad arm strength, but I don't think he has plus arm strength. I think he's got adequate arm strength. But here's what I'll say about that, though, Pastor Ray. Tony Romo, Dak Prescott don't have great arm strength either. And they're able to get the job done. So I think he could fit in the scheme if you're able to block. But the problem is the New York Giants right now, and this was to be expected, if you want to take shots down the field, which is what I think Garrett ultimately wants to do, Right now, he's kind of limited, at least in my opinion. I think he's somewhat limited with the offensive play calling because he can't trust his offensive line to sustain blocks. And Shermer's offense kind of masked that because you got the ball out quick. It was a West Coast style offense, like you said. I'm not trying to make excuses for anybody, but I think, like I said at the top of the stream, I think there's several factors why this offense is struggling. I don't think it's just one factor. But thank you very much. I appreciate it, man. Lamb Kebab, man, thank you very much. If the Giants don't score 24 points, I give up on DJ. I mean, I understand the frustration if they don't score 24 points. I'll say that. I'm not giving up until the end of the year. That's just me, though. Everybody has their own opinions. I would not. I'm going to give him. I personally am going to give him the full year to get better. But I do expect a good performance this week from Daniel Jones. I'm not going to let up on him this week. He's got an opportunity. He's now been in this offense for 4 weeks. He's playing his weakest defensive opponent. He's played this team before. The Entertainer Talking Sports Jr. is in the chat. What's going on? Roldy, man, thank you very much, man. I really appreciate it. He says, just get a sip of coffee, by the way. I'm talking too much. I got to get my coffee in. We got a little Beatles theme to it tonight. He says, Chris, a franchise quarterback that has the it factor can make things happen even when the conditions aren't always around them. I agree with that. What's going on, Scotty H, man? Thanks, Pop. Well, to a certain extent, I agree with that. I think, yeah, consistently you still want the factors around them. But yes, quarterbacks that are elite. But the question is, outside of Trevor Lawrence, is one of these quarterbacks in this draft elite? And could Daniel Jones possibly develop into one of those quarterbacks? Right now, I'm not going to lie to you, he doesn't look elite. He doesn't look close to elite. But quarterbacks can get better over time. You know, we've seen it several times. I'm not telling you he's on that level. I'm not. I never thought that. If I'm being honest with you, I never thought that. Here's the thing. I could be, you know, it would be so easy for me to just laugh and say, oh, I was right all along, right? I hated the pick. Obviously, everybody knows that. I hated the pick on draft night. But I'm a Giants fan. I'm going to support my guys, and I like some of the things I saw last year. I'm not going to quit on them 4 games into the season. I'm going to give him a real opportunity this year. I recognize that there's a lot of factors as to why he may not be playing well. That's not to excuse his poor play completely, but I think you got to give him a fair opportunity. Tyler Sack, man, thank you very much. I appreciate it. If DJ finishes strong, but we still get a very high pick, like 1 to 3, what would you personally want to do in round 1? If we're not going quarterback and we're picking that high in this draft, I'd probably want to trade down personally, you know, because we have so many holes on this team. And if we're not taking a quarterback and we're picking second, I'd want to trade down because there's going to be teams that are going to probably want to come up and get one of these quarterbacks. It's known to be a strong quarterback class, and you should be able to get a boatload. You know, we've looked at it in the past. Teams pay a boatload. I did a video on this in the offseason. Teams usually pay, you know, if you look at the point chart, teams usually pay about 1.5 times the value to come up and get a quarterback. So I would look to trade down. Say you could trade down from 2 to 6, similar to what the Jets did. Jets traded up from 3 to 6. So say we're picking at 3. Team wants to come up, get a quarterback at 6. If we get a similar deal where you get the 6 and 3 future seconds, something like that, I would look to do personally. Am I just good, man? Thank you very much. Do you think that Golden and Gallman should be starting? I'll tell you what, man. Gallman looked strong this past week. He had that really nice run where he cut it to the outside. 6 carries, 45 yards. I think that they have to maintain the platoon approach, personally. I think they need to maintain the platoon approach. Maybe you switch it. But Freeman played well, too. I know the stats don't indicate it. Freeman ran hard, man. I like the near even disparity between the two. But I think those are your clear 2 running backs. I think Lewis is kind of the third guy, maybe the third down specialist that can catch the football. But I like both of them, honestly. I think Gallman and Freeman could be good as a nice 1-2 punch. Simon, man, thank you very much, man. That drive by Brian Hoyer and the Patriots right before halftime yesterday reminded me of our Red Zone. Yes, it did. I was watching that game yesterday. I'm going to tell you what, man. Bill Belichick. How good is Bill Belichick? He went out there with Brian Hoyer. And let's keep in mind, and I know that if you just look at the final score, you're going to say the Chiefs blew him out. First off, Mahomes didn't look good. Mahomes threw a couple of floaters. Mahomes threw a ball that should have been picked off on the first drive. Bill Belichick can scheme a defense. Bill Belichick is a phenomenal coach. And anybody that's writing off the Patriots with a healthy Cam Newton, Patriots are dangerous this year. Patriots are dangerous if they get in. Bill Belichick is so good. He is so good. Pastor Ray, man, thank you very much, man. I really appreciate it. This offseason is going to suck. I want to keep Judge, but I'm worried a new GM will clean house. We should have cleared house last year or kept Shermer. That's what I said, to be honest with you. I thought that would have been the right approach. I thought you either should have kept Shermer on with Gettleman, or I would have been completely for both. I know a lot of fans wanted, everyone blown up. They wanted Shermer. I got that. I would have been okay with keeping Shermer for the reason that we're seeing now. I think it would have been much easier for Daniel Jones year 2 if Shermer was still here and he's the most important player in your football team. So I would have been completely fine with keeping both, or I think you should have started with a fresh start because, like you said, now if you bring in a new GM from the outside, he's got no attachment to Judge. So now Judge instantly feels pressure to keep his job, and you're forcing a head coach on the new GM. So to me, I agree with you. I think they should have started from scratch, and I'm a Gettleman guy. I try to defend Gettleman whenever I can. But I agree with you. I would have fired Gettleman once I decided to fire Pat Shermer. I will say I did like the offseason. I think the Giants had a strong offseason. I think Gettleman drafted well. It may not be showing right now, but a lot of those players I think will step in the future, and that's what that draft was. You go back, watch my videos. That's what I said. We didn't draft just for this year. We drafted for the next 5 years. Shane Lemieux's not going to have an immediate impact. Matt Barrett's not going to have an immediate impact. These are guys that you hope are there for the next 10 years to help out that offensive line. I was very encouraged by what they did in the draft. I thought they had a strong offseason, but I agree with you. You always ideally want to have your GM and head coach on the same timeline. When they elected to keep Gettleman, that's no longer the case. And if you fire Gettleman the next year, well, now you're going to have a GM that has forced his coach on him. It's a very sticky situation right now. It is a very sticky situation. 6'9", man. Thank you very much, man. I really appreciate it. He says, lineman out of Oregon. Yeah, man. A lot of people really like him, Penny. So everything you hear about him is he's a generational tackle. Got Heisman votes last year. I've watched some highlight film on him. Guy's massive. The guy is going to be an elite tackle. It'll be interesting, depending on who's the GM, what their philosophy is. A lot of people have talked about wanting to bring the guy on from the Colts. Can't remember his name off the top of my head, but you saw what he did there with the Colts. He obviously was very offensive line driven. If they have the second, third pick and he's there, I wouldn't be shocked. Obviously we got to evaluate Parrott, see what he's got. Jamar Chase is obviously a possibility as well. We see how weak we are at that wide receiver position. There's a lot of options that the New York Giants could have in this upcoming draft. Roldy, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. I was always an optimistic fan, just like you, Chris, but that all changed back in 2017. I finally woke up and smelt the coffee. This coffee doesn't smell that great, Roldy. Matter of fact, it's getting a little cold. Listen, man. I go through spurts, Roldy, because I'm a fan just like you. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I go through spurts where I am very negative about the football team. It's human nature. I can't help it. I was very negative after week 3. But, I got to be a man of my word. And coming into the year, my message was, and everybody's different, this is going to be a rebuilding season. This is going to be a year where we struggle. So I cannot come on YouTube and then blast the team when I know they're not a good team to begin with. I'm looking for things to build off of week in and week out. Now, when they play as bad as they did week 3, I'm going to flip out. But I know we don't man up with these teams. So why am I going to flip out every week when I know, we could flip out about the decisions that the GM's made, but I'm hoping that these players that can't match up with these other teams get better, improve. We have a young team. We've drafted how many players on this team have been drafted in the last 3 years? A lot. And we have to hope that they mature and get better and could be a part of the team's future. The wins and losses this year, yeah, they always matter, but I never expected playoffs. But thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. Juicy Whiteman, man, thank you very much. DJ needs time. Phil Simms had the same issue. He did. Eli Manning had the same issue. And the only difference between Eli Manning and Daniel Jones, there is one difference. Whenever you ask people, why did Eli keep his job? Why are people sweating Daniel Jones? There is one difference. The difference is Eli Manning had a good football team. Eli Manning had a very good football team. They won 11-5 in his second year. He didn't have much to do with it. Yeah, he had his moments. The Eagles game, he was great, and I'm not telling you that Daniel Jones is Eli. Eli's my favorite player ever. He's an immensely talented quarterback. But Eli Manning was able to step back and was kind of supported by a really good team early on, and they were winning games, so people didn't cry and complain about his maturation because they were winning games. They were like, okay, we could put up with a bad quarterback for 2 or 3 years where he learns the ropes. When you're losing football games, people are going to point to the quarterback because the quarterback ultimately is the most important position. Daniel Jones is in a really tough spot. I'm not going to tell you he's not. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it, man. Let's see what we got here. Michael, man, thank you. What is going on, Michael Vistardis, man? He's awesome, man. Thank you so much for being here, man. I appreciate it. He says, what's up? You can only translating for Oldie. We should all wake up and smell the coffee. Nobody's smiling at this roster. Need to fire Dave Gettleman. New philosophy. Listen, we're gonna fire. In my opinion, we're gonna fire Gettleman. So anybody that hates Gettleman, I don't think you're gonna have to put up with him much longer. So you guys will celebrate. Believe me, you'll celebrate. I think unless this team turns it around, they win 5 or 6 games down the stretch, they beat some really good teams. Maybe Gettleman then stays on for another year. That's possible. But if not, I think they're going to go in a new direction. I could be wrong. But that's what I think is going to happen. And, and then we take it from there and we see where we go in the draft. And that's all we can do. But right now, Gettleman's on the team. Right now, we have the players that we have. And right now, we've still got 12 games left in this season. I want to see how this team gets better over the course of the year. I want to see who wants to be here next year. I want to see who improves and who could fit the scheme. And what I said in Mike's stream is how I truly feel. This defense, a lot of people want to be doom and gloom, and I get it. This team has been horrible. This defense is much further along than I thought they'd be. Much further along. And they're going to get put to the test this week, and they might get smacked in the mouth. Believe me, the Dallas Cowboys have a fantastic offense. They put up, 40 points pretty much almost every week, even though they're losing because their defense is just as bad. So don't expect a phenomenal performance this week. We're going up against a very good offense, but this defense is much better than I thought it would be at this point in the year. So that's one of the optimistic things that I look at. And I think Patrick Graham has a lot to do with that. So we better make sure we keep Graham, in my opinion. I don't want to see Graham going off and getting a job somewhere else as a head coach. I hope we keep Patrick Graham around because this defense, and I think a lot of it has to do with the scheme, is definitely exceeding expectations so far. Natural Watt says, man, thank you very much. Hey, man, what do you think about our chances in our division? Also, you are one of my favorite YouTubers right now. Well, Nutrat, first off, I want to say thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And I appreciate all you guys for being here. All you guys. Like I said at the top of the stream, you got the Yankees on, you got the Lakers on. You guys still come, you still hang out, we talk football. So thank you to all you guys for being here. I really appreciate that. And thank you guys for being the best supporters on YouTube. I can never say it enough. As far as the chances in the division, do you mean winning the division? I'm going to be honest with you, man. I try to tell it straight. I don't think we're winning this division. We're 0-4. And even if we start to click here and we start winning divisional games, which we could, I wouldn't be shocked if we win 3 out of 6. I wouldn't even be shocked if we won 4-2. The NFC East is that bad if we start to click. I'm not picking that, by the way, but I wouldn't be shocked. But the problem is, say you even win 4 out of the 6. Look at the games outside of the division that we still have left on our schedule. Who do you honestly see us beating? Maybe we win 2, 3. You got the Bengals, you got the Bucks, you got the Cardinals, you got the Browns, you got the Ravens, you got the Seahawks. Who do you see us beating? I mean, we're playing really good football teams, so I just don't see it. But do I think we can win some games in the division? Absolutely. I don't think Washington's a great team. I don't think Dallas is a great team. They're struggling right now. Their defense is bad. I don't think the Eagles are a great team. I think we could beat these. I think we can win a couple of games. I don't think we're going to go 0-6 in the division, I'll tell you that. But thank you very much. Mr. Mini Guy, man, thank you very much, man. He says, watched The Godfather yesterday. The Godfather is phenomenal. Now, what you have to do me a favor, Mr. Mini Guy. Make sure, if you're watching the trilogy, make sure you don't watch the third one. The third one just ruins it. No, it doesn't ruin it because the first 2 are so good. But don't even bother watching the third one. But the first 2 are phenomenal. Mr. Mini Guy, man, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Tyler Stack says, Tony Mandarich was considered a generational lineman prospect, and he was a massive bust. It happens, Tyler Stack. I mean, you can look at quarterbacks that have been. Ryan Leaf, he was considered. I remember growing up as a kid. Ryan Leaf, Peyton Manning, who's going to be? They're both unbelievable. So you can point to any position that's thought to be generational, and there's bust. There's been so many receivers taken in the top 5 that were bust. There's been so many running backs taken in the top 5 that were bust. No position is bulletproof when it comes to generational talent. So you're right. And if I remember correctly, Tyler, in that draft, there was like 4 Hall of Famers that were drafted around him in the top 5 picks. So that's known as one of the worst busts in NFL history. Jason, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. I'm hearing Pat Graham might get head coach offers in 2021. Jason Young, if this defense keeps it up, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, you look at Patrick Graham's resume, he will now have had 2 years. And now last year, I know he got relieved of play calling duty, whatever. But he'll have 2 years as a defensive coordinator. He'll have experience under the Green Bay Packers and the New England Patriots with Bill Belichick. He's young. That's what teams are looking for nowadays, even though he's more of a defensive mind. Obviously, most teams nowadays are looking for more of an offensive-minded coach. It wouldn't shock me, though, if this defense finishes top 10. I wouldn't be shocked. Let's put it that way. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Am I just good, man? Thank you very much. When will Eli retire? Thoughts on Al Arlington Chuck? I don't know who that is. And Eli retired last year, my man. Eli's on Twitter showing pictures in his khakis working out, and I couldn't be happier for him. I'm absolutely very happy for Eli because Eli doesn't have to put up with this anymore. He gets to enjoy the fruits of his labor. Doesn't have to worry about going in there every Sunday getting killed behind this offensive line, not having wide receivers to throw to, not being the scapegoat for all this team's problems. So I'm glad that Eli retired. And I love Eli till the day I die. Anthony DeSantis, man, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Giants need to snag Juju this offseason. Depends on the price. I think he will become available. If I had to guess, I could be wrong. But you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers historically, they let their wide receivers hit the open markets. Antonio Holmes, Plaxico Burress, Antonio Brown, even though he was in a straitjacket, usually their best receivers don't see a second contract. So I would not be shocked at all if Juju Smith-Schuster, not to mention they drafted Claypool. Claypool was a second-round draft pick. You figure he's probably going to step in, get more of a role next year, and they're anticipating that Juju Smith-Schuster is going to be a free agent. So I wouldn't be shocked. I don't know if the Giants sign him. I think he's going to cost a lot of money, but I think he may hit the open market. John, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says, playoffs, don't talk about playoffs. Are you kidding me? Playoffs? I just want to win a game. Who said that quote again? That was the guy in the Colts when Peyton Manning, I think, was in his rookie year, or maybe it was, I don't remember. Mora, right? Jim Mora. Playoffs. Joan, man, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Simon, man, thank you so much, man. Tana, I'm loving this defense. Can't wait for McKinney. You and me both, man. We all can't wait for McKinney. I can't wait to see McKinney. I think McKinney fits this scheme very well, and I think he's kind of the type of player that we can use. You know, one of our weaknesses that we always talk about is the ability to cover the tight end. I think he'd help in that aspect. I think he's a guy that you can move around. He played over 200 snaps at 3 different positions his last 2 years while out of Alabama, and I'm actually really excited to see how they implement McKinney when he does come back. And I think he'll probably play the last 6 games. I think they hold him out till after the bye. But the way Patrick Graham has schemed this defense, I'm excited to see McKinney for the New York Giants. I think he's I hope he does a good job, and he could be a big piece of the future of this defense. Just think about that. We don't even have him in the lineup. You've had Jabril Peppers out last week. There's things to be excited about with this defense. Duchess, thank you very much. Giants will start Frank Ntilikina. Giants will start Frank Ntilikina at quarterback next year. You know what? Everybody hates on Frank, and I don't know how many Knicks fans are in here. Everybody hates on Frank, and trust me, I hated on Frank until this past year. I was actually encouraged by Frank this year. I think Frank started to show signs of improving as a basketball player. He was one of the only bright lights of the New York Knicks this year. But I actually think Ntilikina could be a good role player for the New York Knicks. He will never be a quarterback for the New York Giants. But thank you for popping in the stream. Let's see what we got here. Saquon comes back for the playoffs. Yeah, maybe if he gets traded, but and he'll be in crutches. But the New York Giants probably not going to the playoffs. Rudy T, what is going on, my man? Glad to see Rudy T. And by the way, Rudy, I meant to mention it in my. I've just been so busy. I meant to mention it in my member notes. I'm gonna have a member stream. I got to figure out the day. It's gonna be this week, so I hope to see you there. Rudy's been one of my best subscribers forever. Thank you for popping in the stream, buddy. I appreciate it. He says, if we score more points than Dallas, will we win? That is a great question, Rudy. That's a great question. You know what, man? It has been so long since the New York Giants won a football game. I honestly couldn't tell you. I forgot what a win feels like. So I couldn't tell you. But I think the rules state that if you score more points, you would win the game. But Rudy, man, thanks for popping in the stream, man. I appreciate it. What's going on, Baruch? What's going on, Muhammadu, man? Thanks for popping in the stream. Kill Switch in the house. What's going on? Appreciate it. Our defense is legit. I think our defense is starting to get legit. We're not legit yet. But I do think we're maybe 2 pieces away from having a good to very good defense. I think we need another corner. And the thing that sucks is Baker. You know, if Baker didn't do what he did and he progressed this year, he could have been a huge part of this football team for the future. and we wouldn't have been talking second corner. You would have had Baker, and then you would have probably just needed one more piece, a supreme edge rusher. The way I see it right now, we still need a really good edge, and we need another good corner. If we get those two pieces, maybe one in free agency, one in the draft, the New York Giants could have a very good defense. I'm pumped up about this defense because the two guys that we brought in are playing great. Martinez is playing great. Bradbury's playing great. I think there's reasons for optimism. Jason, man, thank you very much. I appreciate it. If you don't lose the game, you'll win. Yeah, that sounds like something that John Madden would say. One of my favorite football guys ever. Chris, man, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Looks like Jones had a bad habit of staring down the receiver he throws to. How quickly do you think this problem can be improved? Also, can you do – yes, I am. Last week, I'm going to tell you right now, Chris, and I'll get into the Jones staring down thing. I actually heard Bobby talking about that on – actually, I think somebody in his chat was talking about it. I think it was Ray, actually. It was in the stream. And I've noticed that myself, him staring down receivers. Last week, I was so depressed about the New York Giants. I just said, you know what? I'm taking a week off from the picks. I'm taking a week off from doing a Q&A. I'm taking a week off from – I needed like 4 days to myself because that game, the week 3, just took a lot out of me, and I didn't want the negativity to seep into my channel because I don't want that. I don't want that. I want to try to think as positively as I can about this year, knowing we're in as bad as a place as we are. It's, we see enough negativity. I'm trying to look at the brighter things this year, so I took a week off. I will have my weekly picks up tomorrow. I'll be premiering that. That'll be on the channel. Probably at like 8:30. I'll probably have it up for you. Muhammad, man, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And as far as the staring down receivers, I wanted to get back to that. I've noticed that. You noticed it in the first game against the Steelers, even though it was a great play by Watt. Jones, he was looking at his receiver the whole time. It was a quick throw, though. And this past week, you noticed it a few times. The one thing that I really noticed about Jones this week, though, that really stood out to me that I didn't like, and, I understand it because he doesn't have weapons and because you wanted him to manage the game this week, but it looked like he was really, like, limiting himself and not taking the shots, really trying not to make mistakes rather than make big plays. And I didn't like that. I don't mind picks if you're taking shots down the field. You have to take your opportunities. You can't be as harnessed in as he was last week. So I didn't like that. Muhammad, man, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Hey, Chris, do you think it would have been a good idea to demote Pat Sherman to offensive coordinator instead of firing him outright? Love your content. Keep it up. Muhammad, man, first off, man, thank you so much for love. I really appreciate that. Secondly, in an ideal world, like if we're playing fantasy GM and fantasy head coach, been perfect. You drafted Jones to fit Shermer's offense. But here's the thing. One, Shermer's not going to take that demotion. If you're going to say you're not good enough to be our head coach, you have to stay on. But two, even if he was willing to take it, do you think the new head coach is going to want to have the previous head coach as the OC? It's why it never made sense to me. It's why I knew he was never going to stay on in that capacity, even though a lot of people brought that up as an idea. To me, Shermer was either going to stay on as the head coach or he was completely gone, and they decided to move on from him. I was rooting for him to stay just for Daniel Jones' sake. I didn't think he was a good head coach. I don't blame the Giants for moving on. Obviously, we heard all the reports about the players falling asleep in meetings, so on and so forth. So I understood it. Somebody had to go. I understood it. But for Daniel Jones' growth, it may not have been the worst idea in the world. That's all I'll say about it. But hopefully he grasps his system, the offense starts clicking, and we forget about Pat Shermer. Obviously, Shermer's doing a great job over there with Denver. You saw what they did with the backup quarterback over there. What's going on there? Am I just God? Thanks for popping the stream. Do you think that Sal DeLuca's Matt, I don't know who that is, to be completely honest with you. I've not done research on it. I do not know. Is that a joke? Should we sign Sanu? I did a video on Sanu today. I would be completely okay with it based on the opinion that if the Giants feel like Sanu is capable of being an NFL wide receiver. All the ties to the New York Giants, like I said in my video today, he's a guy that's been in the league. He's a Jersey guy. He played for Joe Judge last year when Joe Judge was his wide receiver coach. I'd be completely for it, as long as they feel he's capable. I'm not saying he's the answer. He's not. But is he a guy that could fill in for Sterling Shepard? If Sterling Shepard could be out for another 3-4 weeks, I see no problem with it. He's a guy that, yes, I think he makes sense. If he passes the physical, if they feel he's capable of wide receiver. Yes, why not? He's tall too. Something that we need on the outside. So I see nothing against it personally. Do I think he's a long-term answer? No. Is he going to be the answer to all our problems? No. He's not even close. He's not somebody I'm going to get excited about, but yes, I could see a reason to bring him in. We are so, yeah, you're saying Juju's a better fit. Juju's not this year. Juju's next year. Mohamed Sanu is a guy that's a Band-Aid if you bring him in. He's a guy that probably doesn't even start when Sterling Shepard comes back, but he's a guy that could fill in kind of like he did with the 49ers for 3-4 weeks. Right now, we got to give Daniel Jones all the help he could get. Daniel Jones on an island, but all by himself, he's got no help. So I understand it as a short-term fix, or not even a fix, but a short-term helper, if you will. I don't know what the word is, to try to do something for this guy. What's going on, Marjorie? Thanks for popping on the stream. Aiden, you never apologize, man. Thank you for being here. Congratulations to your Packers last night. We just need depth at this point. Yeah, we need depth. We need bodies. Juju's overrated. Don't want me. I wouldn't pay top dollar for Juju, to be honest with you. I know I don't even know what his stats are this year. Obviously, he got up to a great start against us. He's a good receiver. He's better in the slot. He's versatile. You can put him on the inside and the out. I'm not in love with Juju Smith-Schuster. Not for what he's going to cost. I would rather go a cheaper route if we're going free agency. Duchess, thank you very much. How would you feel about James Dolan buying the Giants? You know, I've been asked this before. You know, how would you feel about James Dolan buying the – here's what I'll say about James Dolan. First off, James Dolan is a jackass, okay, in terms of an owner. Some of the things he's done for the New York Knicks, he's been a complete embarrassment on and off the court. One thing I'll say about Dolan, football, he'd suck. Anything with a salary cap, he'd be horrible. I actually think he'd be a decent baseball owner because I think he's one of those owners that would have an open an open wallet. And baseball, there's no salary cap. But no, keep James Dolan away from the New York Giants, please. And Dolan's never going to sell the team. Mara's never going to sell the team anyway. You're talking about somebody in hockey. Okay. How would you feel if we picked up Demaryius Thomas? People have brought up Demaryius Thomas before. Demaryius Thomas, again, tall, veteran, kind of like Sanu. Not a guy I'm going to get overly excited about. He's a veteran. He played in New York last year with the Jets. I think he had 400 yards. He's a depth player. And that's right now we need anything. So, if they bring in any professional wide receiver that they feel like they could help, at least in the short term, I'm for it. We need something. And yet, I don't want to trade away a ton to bring in a guy that's only going to be a one-year guy just to help out Daniel Jones. So, I wouldn't be against it. We're desperate right now for a wide receiver. And people say call up the practice squad, and you could do that as well. Maybe Benjamin Victor's the guy. I don't know. Maybe one of these practice. We need somebody to step up. I will say that Damian Ratley played decent. You started to see improvement from Ratley this week. He made a nice catch on the sideline, I remember. I think he made a couple of catches. Ratley looked okay to me. But we just don't have professional receivers on this football team right now. We just don't. People are bringing up Antonio Brown, 40 luck, and I get it. He's got ties to Judge. He's a phenomenal talent. I don't see it. I just don't see it. I could be wrong, but I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't think he's the type of guy that Joe Judge is going to want to bring in here. I'd be shocked, to be honest with you. I'd be surprised. I think Evan Ingram would be exposed even more. Yeah, Schlick, to me, I agree with that, actually. And I say that all the time. I think you could use him on the outside a bit, but I don't think he'll ever be a full-time wide receiver. It's not like the guy's got impeccable route running ability. To me, his biggest value coming out in the draft and why he was a first-round pick is because of the mismatch that he creates at the tight end position. But the guy can't block. Even though I will say, I'll give him credit, I thought he blocked better last week, which is still not good, but better than he normally does. But what if blank bought the Giants' potential series idea? Yeah, I just honestly don't see Mara ever selling the team. I really don't. And if I did, maybe I would do a series. I just don't see it. Greg C, man, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Chris, hey man, I have an important question. Do you think? All right, we're getting silly questions in the chat tonight. That's all right, Warrior. Greg C says, should they trade Sterling Shepard after the season? Should we trade Sterling Shepard after the season? If you can, absolutely. The problem with Sterling, but the thing is, when you look at Sterling Shepard's contract, Sterling Shepard is, I think he's a $10 million hit next year. I think correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I think he's got 3 more years left on his deal after this year. Maybe it's 2. If you got somebody to take his contract, do it. Do it. I'm sorry. I like Sterling Shepard, but the guy's been hurt. The guy's been banged up. If you get something for Sterling Shepard, you do it. I don't think you can. I don't think anybody's going to want to take on that contract with his injury history. I could be wrong, but I don't think you can. JDJ, man, thank you very much. How many W's do we get outside of our division? Let's see. I'll give you the Bengals, even though that's not a gimme. Bengals are playing better. Burrow's been good. That's on the road, but I'll give you the Bengals. I'll say we get 2. I'll say we upset one of the teams, one of those 6 other games, but we're a heavy underdog in all of them. I'll say we win one more of them. I'll say we get 2 out of division wins. Maybe the Cardinals. I'll say we get 2. And I'll say we get 2 or 3 divisional wins. I'll say we get 4 or 5 wins this year. That's my prediction. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they win 2. Maybe they win 1. Maybe they win none. Maybe they win 6. Maybe they win 10. But that's my prediction. Am I just What do you think of Slayton's route running? People say he can't get separation. I think the biggest problem with Slayton right now, one, I think the expectations were high on him off of last year. But I think the biggest problem with Darius Slayton is that he's not a number 1, at least not yet. And now he's seeing number 1 coverage. After week 1, team said, okay, now we're going to treat this guy like a number 1 wide receiver. And you're seeing that he's not putting up the numbers. So I think that's probably the biggest thing. I think that's why a lot of people want a number 1 wide receiver so they can make him the 2, and that would help Darius Slayton out a lot because he's not. Right now, he's not a number 1 option. I got to go, man. Go Giants. Matthew, man, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. But yeah, I'm thinking 4 to 5 W's too. She's another year of waiting in the draft. JDJ, yeah, I mean, we're 0-4. I mean, it's hard for me to say anything more than that right now, especially with the schedule that we have. I don't want to wait just as much as you don't, believe me. But it's a process, and you have to hope that this team gets better this year, and we grow, and whoever they bring in as the GM, or if we keep getting them, and you hope that they continue to draft well and build this team up the right way. And to me, it's all about sustained success. We got to get to a point where we're like the Patriots. Not saying that we're going to win as many Super Bowls or be that consistent, but we want to get to a point where we have a good 7, 8, 9 year stretch where every year going into the year, we know we're going to be competitive, and that's what we hope they're building right now. All right, guys, I got to go. I'm super tired. Elvis, man, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Trade a second rounder for Kenny Golladay if you can. If you could get Kenny Golladay for a second rounder and you could secure him in a contract, do it. Do it. I don't see it happening. Well, if the Lions know they're not going to keep him, sure, but I think the Lions are going to keep him. I think at a bare minimum, I think the Lions are going to franchise tag him. I don't see Kenny Golladay hitting the open market. I would be very surprised. One of the most talented wide receivers in the sport. So, sure. I don't see it, though. What's going on there, Kevin Hardaway, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. We finished 7-9. Judge turns the team around, and they buy in. I love the optimism, man. I love the optimism. I love Joe Judge. I love Joe Judge. I hope he works out. Fleming is garbage. Yeah, well, we knew Fleming was garbage. Fleming's a swing tackle. It's not Fleming's fault. He's playing where he shouldn't be. I mean, Nate Solder was supposed to be the right tackle. He was supposed to be the backup. Fleming actually played better the last couple weeks, but he's still not good. And we know he's not the long-term answer. And I want to see Matt Baird in there as soon as possible. He's not the long-term answer. It's as simple as that. Jason Young, man, thank you very much, man. Shep has 3 years and $30 million left. Shaking my head. Yeah. And I think I know the cap hit next year, you can't cut him. The following year, I think you don't save much either, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that. But Shepard's going to be here at least through next year. I don't see many teams trading for him with the money that he's making based off the injury history. I think Shepard will be here in 2021. Just Nate, man, thank you very much. Trade Evan Ingram, love you. Best Giants YouTube. Well, I appreciate that, Just Nate, man. Thank you very much, man. Yeah, I mean, well, here's the thing, man. What can you get for Evan Ingram? That's what it comes down to for me. If a team's knocking on your door, like, name a team that needs a weapon. That's maybe the Patriots, right? If the Patriots are knocking on your door at the trade deadline, they say, hey, Joe, you just came from us. Let's talk trade. We'll give you, a third-round pick for him. I'd consider it. You give him a second-round pick, you pay for his plane ticket. You get him over there as soon as possible if they give you a second-round pick. But, it all depends on what teams are willing to offer you for Evan Ingram. Yeah. Let's see what we got here. It's sad to say we have a lot of wasted talent. God, yeah, it is. Hey, Chris, what point does the fire sale begin and who do you trade? Here's the thing. Everybody's saying, who do you trade? Who do you trade? Who do you trade? Who do we have? You have to ask yourself, who do we have on our team that people want, right? Because, like, the Miami Dolphins, they had people always say, well, the Miami Dolphins traded away all these players. They got all these draft picks. The Miami Dolphins had Minkah Fitzpatrick. The Miami Dolphins had, what's his name? The guy that was smoking weed, the offensive tackle. I don't know why it's escaped me right now. They had very desirable players that they could have traded away, and they did. Who do the Giants have on their team right now that's a tradable asset? Because you're not getting anything for Daniel Jones. Saquon Barkley's hurt. You're not trading Andrew Thomas. So who do they have on their team right now that could warrant a high draft pick? We don't. Right now on our team, in terms of the players that are tradable, that could get the most, I think it's Leonard Williams, and I think it's Evan Ingram. And you're not looking at first round picks. You'll be lucky to get a second. I think you're looking more like third round picks for the players that we have. And outside of that, I don't think we get much. I don't think we get much for most of the players on our team, if I'm being honest with you. I just don't. Tunsil, yeah, that was the tackle. Yeah. I trade Ingram for Great Woody says I trade Ingram for rice and beans. Yeah, Tunsil was the tackle. Do you have any concerns about how Andrew Thomas has played the first 4 weeks? I mean, maybe slightly. Again, I'm not going to go crazy over 4 games. And, I mentioned all the other, I think Clocks said it at the beginning of the stream. I think there's a lot of factors as to why he could be playing poorly. I think he's going to be fine. I'm not that worried about Andrew Thomas. I'm really not. Let's see what we got here. Pastor Ray, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. Chiefs 28th run defense, maybe Leo Williams trade. Yeah, I mean, there's several teams that could use a player like Leonard Williams. Leonard Williams has played really well. And that's, people, that's the thing, man. Sometimes fans, they don't want to trade players because they're like, he's a good player. Why would you trade him? Well, the thing is this, if you ever want to get something in a trade, you have to trade a player that's good. And you have to trade a player while he's playing good. And if Leonard Williams is not going to be in the future plans for this football team, and you could get a third-round pick for him, knowing that he's going to be a free agent next year, you should make the trade. Now, the thing is, Dave Gettleman still the GM. Dave Gettleman, of course, traded a third, and I think it was a fifth for Leo. So we would reciprocate that third-round pick, but even though it was an early third-round pick, if you were able to orchestrate a trade like that. But I don't know if Dave would be willing to do it, being that he kind of put himself on the line when he made that trade. I don't know, but yeah, I would. Let's see what we got here. Hey, Tana, it's me. Oh, Janoris Jenkins. We're getting all the celebrities in here tonight. Trade DJ, Shepard, Martinez, Ingram, Barkley. Okay. So Dusk Thunder wants to trade Daniel Jones, Sterling Shepard, Martinez, Ingram, Barkley, Bradbury, Thomas, Golden Tate, Slayton, and any other decent player for Mahomes. I didn't read the Mahomes part before I read the comment. Next question. Just Nate, man, thank you very much. I appreciate it. He says Marvel or DC? Marvel. I'm a Marvel guy. I like both, but I'm more of a Marvel guy. But thank you very much for love, man. I really appreciate it, man. Stand up. What's going on, Card Coach, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. I really appreciate it. Roldy Lewis, man. I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much for love, man. And he says, I would try to trade Ingram, Williams, Tomlinson, Tate, and I wish Barkley and Shepard was healthy. I'd trade them too. Well, that's the thing. Because they're not healthy, you can't. You can't trade them. Ingram, Williams, Tomlinson, Tate, maybe. But again, he's 32 years old. He's still making a pretty good salary for 2 more years. He still carries like a $5 million dead cap hit next year. I don't think you're getting much for Tate. Maybe you throw him in, in another trade. Maybe. And Tomlinson maybe get a 5th-round pick. I don't think you're getting much. He's pretty much exclusively a nose tackle. He's not under commitment after this year. I maybe get a 5th. I don't think you're getting much. And the question is Tomlinson in the long-term plans? And we don't know. We don't know that. We don't even know who the GM is going to be next year. Let's see what we got. Oh, Rudy T-Man just brought out the cannolis and the pizza. He's getting me hungry here. Tana, if and when we win on Sunday, will you sing us a song? Rudy, I'm going to tell you what, Rudy. If the New York Giants win, you can hold me to this. If the New York Giants win on Sunday, I will let you pick the song. Now, it's got to be something I know, but I will let you pick the song, and I will sing it. So there you go, Rudy. I will have a victory song if the New York Giants win on Sunday, 100%. Let's see what we got here. Haven't heard or seen Marcus Golden all year. Marcus Golden hasn't been getting many snaps at all. He's only been on the field. He's only getting maybe 10, 11, 12 snaps a game. Hasn't played that much. O'Shane Zimenez hasn't played that much. You've started to see them make moves. Tate Crowder got some snaps last week. But, yeah, you're right. Those guys have not seen the field that much at all. Let's see what we got here. Screen record everyone. The Entertainer Talking Sports Junior. And I will not shave my head. Rich, I did make and unfortunately, because I would have dyed my moss, as people call it, my hair. I would have gladly dyed it blue at the end of the year. one of my subscribers, I forget who it was, said, if the New York Giants win the Super Bowl, will you dye your hair blue? And I'll say this. If the New York Giants win the Super Bowl while I'm on YouTube, whenever it happens, I will dye my hair blue for 2 weeks straight, and I will have it in every single video. I will not wear a hat if they ever win the Super Bowl. You could screen record that as well. Trade for T.Y. Hilton, Zach Martinez says. I'd have to think about that. I mean, I know the Colts got some young receivers. I don't know his contract details. I know he's a little bit up there in age. I don't know. I'd have to look at the contract details and everything else. If he was under a cost-effective deal for 3 years of, where we could have him under contract, maybe. I don't think he's a great receiver, though. I always thought he was a product of Andrew Luck. Bro, when are you all going to learn nobody wants Tate and Ingram? We can't get anything for it. I agree. Well, Ingram, I think he gets something. Tate, we're not getting anything, in my opinion. Trade for Sammy. Watkins is a free agent next year. So I don't think we'll trade for him. What's going on there, Swag Waffles, man? Thanks for popping in the stream. James Montague in the house. Is Joe Judge keeping his job? I'd like to think so. All right, Warrior, don't spam, please. I think Warrior and Janoris Jenkins are the same. All right, we're gonna block them. We're gonna block Janoris Jenkins. Yeah. I'll answer that one question. What do I think of the chances of Juju joining Big Blue? Not that high, to be honest with you. Not that high. It's possible. It depends what they decide to do in free agency, but very low. I don't think the Giants are going to spend a boatload in free. It's possible, though. They did it with Plaxico Burress, Eli Manning's second year. So it's possible. But it's hard for me to answer that question until the offseason. Let's see what we got here. Hey, Chris, whatever happened to that tall wide receiver, John Reeson you're talking about? Reeson John, I think you're talking about. You said John Rising. I think you're talking about Reeson John. I think we could use him in the red zone. He's very big. Yeah, I think the Giants cut him. I think they cut him. I'm almost positive of that. He was a tight. They were trying him out as a tight end, but yeah, he was a wide receiver. I'm almost positive they cut him. I don't even think he's on the practice squad. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure they did. I'm starting to think Hernandez is not what we thought. Rolly, I think a lot of Giants fans are starting to think that way. I'll give him till the end of the year, but yeah, I think a lot of Giants fans are starting to think that way. David Sills got hurt. David Sills on the IR. Become a Bills fan. Listen, I respect the Bills. You want to talk about a team that built the team the right way? Buffalo Bills. I did a video on it in the offseason where I compared what the New York Jets did to what the Buffalo Bills did in free agency. The Buffalo Bills spread out that free agency money in 2018 beautifully. Both the Jets and the Bills had the same amount of cap space. The New York Jets went out there, and I'm not picking on the Jets. It was just a perfect comparison because they both had very similar money, and one team elected to spend money one way, the other elected to spend it another. The New York Jets spent all their money on C.J. Mosley and Le'Veon Bell. The Buffalo Bills spread the money out. They signed like 3 offensive linemen for like $8 million a piece, $10 million a piece. They brought in smart wide receiver signings. They brought in Cole Beasley. They brought in John Brown. They didn't overspend on anybody. They spread that money out. They drafted well. They fixed the offensive line for their young quarterback, Josh Allen, in his second year. And now year 3, you're seeing it pay off big time. And of course, they added Stephon Diggs. Didn't hurt. Lisa Tillis, thank you for popping in the stream. I appreciate it. Cameron, thank you for popping in the stream. McKinney's injured. Yeah. McKinney is injured. He will not be back until at least week 9, I believe. Hate to admit this, but for the first time in a while, the Giants might beat Dallas. Our defense is so bad. I hope so, Zach, because we need a win. What's going on, Luis Rivera? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. And Pastor Ray, man, thank you very much. I kind of wish we had signed Conklin this year. I liked Conklin. He was the one high-profile free agent that I would have really liked this year if they were going to spend a lot. Because obviously, you still could have taken Andrew Thomas. You would have had Conklin and Andrew Thomas as your 2 tackles for the future. He's a really good run blocker. And guess what? And to be fair, I don't watch every Brown game, but I see what they're doing. I see how they're running the football, and it doesn't matter who's running the football. In my Discord, I love Andy Garcia. He's telling me, what's his name? Chubb is the second best running back in football. No, he's not. That offensive line is much better. You look at Hunt. Hunt's running the ball for over 5.5 yards a carry. Look at what the offensive line did for the Cleveland Browns. And that's what I want to get back to with New York Giants football. But yeah, I would have been very happy with Conklin. Let's see what we got here. I thought Diggs was on the Vikings. No, Buffalo Bills traded for him. Buffalo Bills gave up a ton to get him. A ton to get him, but it's paying off. He's got over 400 yards receiving so far this year. He leads the league. Most receiving yards in football, I believe. Who does Tanis look like without his hat? I don't know. Let the chat answer that. Who is Tanis look like without his hat? I don't know. Yeah, the Bills are very good, Scott. Bills are very good. And I'll tell you what, I think Josh Allen, I get into debates all the time about Josh Allen. I thought it before the year started. I did a video on it. I did a video on which quarterback will be this year's Lamar Jackson. I'm not saying he's going to break out that big, but I said which quarterback is going to be the breakout quarterback. I listed the 5 quarterbacks. Josh Allen was at the top of my list. I've always liked Josh Allen. He's got a ton of ability. And I knew once he got that accuracy down, sky's the limit, and he's got it down. He's throwing to 70%. Roldy Lewis, man, thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. What's going on, Cash Jacks? Thanks for popping in the stream. Roldy Lewis says, why not put Lemieux at center and Parrott at right tackle at this point? What do we have to lose? Well, here's the thing, man. They may honestly feel that Nick Gates is the center of the future, and they may want to be evaluating him at that position. So I don't see any problem with keeping Nick Gates at center. I thought he did decent last week. In terms of the right tackle, I think you're going to see Parrott in there sooner than later. Maybe they feel like he's not ready yet, even though he did get a little bit of an opportunity last week, and he actually looked pretty good in limited snaps. But I think you'll see Parrott in there no later than maybe week 8 or 9. Lemieux, I'm not too sure on. I'm not. Woodshed. I'm glad to see Woodshed in the chat, man. I love Woodshed. He's been with me forever. Used to talk to him a lot on Twitter. Glad to see you in here, man. And he hit it on the head. Woodshed hit it on the head. Now everybody has their own opinion of who I look like. I've been told I look like Nicolas Cage since I was like 15. That's the guy I get the most, by far. So you hit it on the head, Woodshed. Rich says, all that matters this year is to beat Dallas 2 times. Beat Dallas 2 times, beat the Eagles 2 times, and beat Washington 2 times. You win on no other games, I'll be happy. Sweep the division. You got to win your divisional games. We got to beat up on the division. Pee Wee Herman, I think somebody said that. I've gotten Pee Wee Herman before. I think Stephen Lilly said that. I've gotten Nicolas Cage a lot more, though. Let's see what I got here. Why does everyone want Trevor Lawrence? He'll be a bust. All right, here's what I'll say about that. How can you say that Trevor Lawrence would be a bust? I mean, I'm not telling you he's going to be great. There's no way to know that yet. It's kind of like Daniel Jones. People tell me that Daniel Jones is going to be great, that he's a franchise quarterback, and some people tell me he's not. How could you know either way? You can't know that with Trevor Lawrence either. Trevor Lawrence has a lot of skills. He's got a lot of talent. Every top evaluator has said he's a great talent. He could be a bust, but there's no way you can know that right now. Let's see what we got here. Cameron Keeperman. Well, I hope that you're a female, Cameron Keeperman. I'm mad that No Time to Die got delayed again. Talking about James. Is that James Bond? Great Wuda. He looks like the other guy from the movie Cable Guy, which is ironic. The other guy from the movie Cable Guy. I'm trying to remember. You're talking about Matthew Broderick. I think Matthew Broderick was the other guy in the movie The Cable Guy, but he was not the Cable Guy. Jim Carrey was the Cable Guy. Let's see what we got here. The only thing we get from Golden Tate is a fight with Ramsey. Oh God, yeah, the fight with Ramsey. That was embarrassing. The only reason I didn't mention that in my post-game video was because I saw it after the fact. I turned off the game as soon as I was done with Bad Dog. I saw that there was a scrum, but I wasn't positive who it was. I assumed it could have been Golden Tate, obviously, with all the history there between him and Ramsey. But yeah, that was embarrassing. Now, I don't know all the specifics behind that. Joe Judge, I think, came out and said that Jalen Ramsey started it. But I don't know all the specifics behind it. Duchess, man, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Family Matters or Full House? They're both great shows. But I probably watched a little bit more Family Matters actually growing up as a kid. But I watched both. They're both great shows. I think I'd go Family Matters, but it's very close. They're both great shows. Let's see what we got here. I want to make sure my phone doesn't die here. I got 18%. Okay. Draft Parsons or wait in the first, then draft best wide receiver in the second, or trade back up into the first. Russ, it depends. It depends where we're picking. It depends where we're picking. The draft questions are just we'll get into it. Believe me. You know, if you remember my subscriber to my channel, you're going to get a lot of draft content. We're going to get into it. But right now, it's all, dependent on where we're picking. If we're picking 2, you're not taking Parsons more than likely. So it all depends on where we're picking. Yeah, you draft for need, but you also got to draft. You got to balance it, for best available player as well as need. Last year, it kind of fit both. Andrew Thomas was kind of supposed to be picked around where the Giants were picking, and tackle was their biggest need. I don't think you take Parsons that early. It depends where we're picking. I like Parsons, though. Tanner, man, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Hey, Chris, big Packer fan in Wisconsin. Just wanted to show you love for producing killer content. Good luck to you and your Giants. Tanner, first off, I want to say thank you very much. Second off, I want to tell you that I have a man crush on your quarterback. Okay? And you have a great YouTuber as well. I'm sure you know who he is if you're a Packer fan. Mr. Grassi over there. But let me tell you, man, Aaron Rodgers is the freaking man. And I'm so happy that all the haters have to eat their crow right now, because all I heard about Aaron Rodgers the last couple of years was that he's starting to, he's done and he's dying out. No, Aaron Rodgers is still Aaron Rodgers, so I'm happy for him. Yeah, I think your Packers right now are the favorite to win the Super Bowl. So congratulations on that. And I didn't see that coming into the year. The funny thing is, if you watched my channel last year, I might have been the only guy on the planet that picked the Packers to go to the Super Bowl in May. I absolutely loved what you guys did in free agency. I loved what you did in the draft of 2019. I was pretty close. This year, I missed. I was actually down on you guys. I thought you'd still win the division at like 10-6, but didn't think you were nearly as good as you guys have shown so far. So congratulations on that. Greg C, man, thank you very much, Philip. I appreciate it. Would you take Prescott if he's a free agent? No. Nope. You want to know why? And I'm not hating on Dak Prescott. If Dak Prescott came to this team right now, he'd be the same. He'd probably be better than Danny. But my point is, we wouldn't be much better. Dak Prescott has always been in a situation where he's got everything around him. The reason being, he was a 4th-round pick or a 3rd-round pick, whatever he was. He came to a situation with a ready-made offensive line, a great running back, wide receivers all over the place. If Dak Prescott came here, you're going to pay him $40 million a year. You're going to eat up your cap? Absolutely not. No way. Get him the hell out of here. No chance. Hey, Chris, what's up? The Giants need to get Caden Smith. I like Caden Smith. I'd like to see Caden Smith a lot more involved in the offense. I think he's got good rapport with Daniel Jones. Absolutely. What about Watson? Watson's the same. Well, first off, the Texans aren't going to let Watson go. But secondly, listen, I am a big believer in trying to win while your quarterback is on his rookie deal. You guys are talking about bringing in quarterbacks that have already. You want to get value out of that position. You want to try to get 4 or 5 years where you're not paying them that much. You want to try to draft your franchise quarterback. You don't want to trade and bring in a mercenary. No. We're not bringing it Dak. We're beating him into the ground. That's right, Finez. That's right, my man. Just Nate, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Jones, best quarterback. I think you obviously meant best quarterback in the NFC East. Just Nate, I love you. I love you. Thank you for being a great supporter of the channel. I cannot say that. I can tell you that I hope he is one day, but no, cannot say that. I can tell you he's the 3rd best. I would still put him above Haskins, but no, he's not. No, he's not. You're a huge Packers fan. Well, Warrior, congratulations. Jerry Jones and Dak can't win in a clutch situation. Listen, and I'm not trying to hate on Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott's a good quarterback. I'm not going to tell you he's great. He's a good quarterback. Here's the thing with Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott, his stats are so inflated. Like, he's on pace to throw for 6,500 yards. Every game, they're down by 3 touchdowns, and he gets 3 garbage time touchdowns to come back into the game. They lose by a field goal. The team comes in prevent, and he gets 200 yards in the last quarter. His stats are so inflated. They're beyond inflated. Pastor Ray, man, thank you very much. I appreciate that, man. Thank you very much. He says, one issue with Jones is I'm worried we won't be good until his rookie contract ends, so trying to pay him 30+ at the time would make winning tough. Listen. Pastor Ray, Giants fans may not want to hear this. I've talked about this several times, and I have to be a man of my word. I don't believe in the Cowboys paying Dak. I don't believe in paying a quarterback franchise-type money unless he's elite into his second deal. Because When you pay a quarterback that is a non-elite quarterback, that is a very good quarterback, 15 to 20% of your salary cap, you're not going to win. There's only been 4 quarterbacks since the salary cap era that have gotten paid more than 10% of the salary cap and have won a Super Bowl. And spoiler alert, they're all elite quarterbacks, one of them being Eli Manning, Tom Brady being another, I believe Aaron Rodgers being another. I can't remember. All of them are all-time great quarterbacks. It's very hard to win when you pay a quarterback 20%, 15% of your cap like these guys are getting paid. And unless they are elite or very borderline elite, they are not worth getting paid. That's just my mentality. I would do what the Redskins did with Cousins. If you felt like you needed to keep a guy for another year or two, as bad as the Redskins are, as much as they've screwed up, I actually think the Redskins handled that very well. They franchise tagged him twice. They knew they didn't want to make a 5-year commitment. I wouldn't do it unless the guy's an elite quarterback. Philly Notion, man, thank you very much, man. I really appreciate that. He says, entertainers fire. The fix equals beat Dallas Sunday. Philly Notion, we're going to do everything we can. We're going to do everything we can to help you out this week. I promise you. We're going to do everything you can. I don't like that you guys beat the 49ers. That pissed me off. But we're going to do everything we can, and then we're going to beat your ass. And we're going to beat your ass week 7. But we're going to do everything we can to help you guys out this week. Demon, man, thank you so much for that, man. I really appreciate it. He says the current team wins some and doesn't get great picks. What do you think the ceiling is for this team? Do you even see this team going to the playoffs? You talking about the Giants? Talking about the Giants? Playoffs? Playoffs? You talking playoffs? I just want to win a game. I tried the Jim Moore impersonation. I think that the ceiling for this team is, like I said earlier, 5, maybe 6 wins. And they get better over the course of the year. And we find out that Daniel Jones is hopefully our franchise quarterback. That's what I think is the ceiling this year. I don't think we're a playoff team under any circumstances. Blue Collar, man, thank you so much for that, man. I really appreciate that. He says over under 2 touchdowns against the Dallas defense. I think we're going to go over. That was an intentional voice crack, by the way, guys. That was an intentional voice crack. I'm going to go over. I think the New York Giants get over 2 touchdowns in this game. Let's see what we got. Rolly, man, thank you so much, man. He says, define an elite quarterback, Chris. Quarterback is the most important position and hardest position to find, so define elite. Okay, elite to me is a guy that can put the team on his back when he doesn't have a good situation. Because that's what happens when you pay a quarterback that much money. He's like, the reason that Tom Brady won as much as he did, let's be real, it's because he took a fraction of the cost of what he should have as a franchise quarterback. But most of these quarterbacks obviously want to get paid the market rate. And the market rate is 15 to 20% of the cap. So if you're making 15 to 20% of the cap, that means you could only make the other 52 players, you have 80%, as opposed to on a rookie deal for a quarterback, you've got like 97%. So is that quarterback worth 17% of the cap, extra than that would be under a rookie deal? And there's only a handful of quarterbacks that could carry the team in a really mediocre situation. Let's put it that way. There's only a handful of quarterbacks to me, maybe 5, maybe 6. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck in mediocrity. Like I've said before, Matthew Stafford, not worth it. Not worth it. What have they won since Matt Stafford got that contract? What have they won? They have to be borderline elite quarterbacks for me. Just Nate, man, thank you very much, man. I really appreciate that. Can't spell elite without Eli. That's right. 2011. That was the old saying there that year. Absolutely love Eli Manning. DJ's ceiling is Rich Gannon. Well, I hope. Rich Gannon was a great quarterback. People may not remember that. Rich Gannon was phenomenal for about 3 or 4 years with the Raiders. He was great that one year where they went to the Super Bowl. They lost to the Bucs because John Gruden knew the entire playbook. But yeah, Rich Gannon was a really good quarterback for about 3 or 4 years. Chris, you have to draft your franchise quarterback, cough, Brett Favre, cough, Eli Manning. I love Eli Manning. Let's see what we got here. Greg C says, Giants need to run more RPOs this week. I agree. I agree. Last week you saw them run a few, but Daniel Jones didn't run. There was a couple of run-pass options where they either handed off or they threw it. Daniel Jones didn't run. It was probably because the defense played it that way, and maybe they will more this week. I definitely want to see more play-action rollouts. We saw a little bit this past week, but I want to see more of it. I think Jones is better when he's out of the pocket at times, when he's running and he has the option to both run and throw. And I got to see more shots down the field. We've seen almost none. I got to see more shots down the field. You got to try to stretch that defense. When did you start YouTube, Matt D said? It's been a little over 2 years. I mean, I started taking it seriously around week 1 of the 2018 season. That's when I really started to take it pretty seriously. Maybe like week 2 of the preseason. So it's been like a year and like 6 weeks, 2 years and 6 weeks since I've like really taken it seriously. But I think I first started in like the a week or two after the draft. Is when I first started. Like 2 weeks after we drafted Saquon Barkley. Rich, man, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it, man. All in, finish. That's right. That was the saying in 2000. Was that the 11 team or the 7? I think it was the 11 team, if I'm not mistaken. But thank you, man, so much, man. I appreciate it. Roldy says, take 2011 season out. Was Eli an elite quarterback throughout his career, or didn't he need things around him to be at his best? But we paid him. Roldy, you're right. We did pay him. There's a major difference, though. He won 2 Super Bowls. You earned that. And you could definitely argue that maybe we shouldn't have. He won 2 Super Bowls. And he was elite for that second Super Bowl championship, which is when he got his first contract extension, where he got paid, I think, as the highest quarterback in the league. So based off of that year, I couldn't blame the New York Giants. He carried that team that year. He put the team on his back. That team sucked. That team sucked, Rolly. You know it. The defense was not good until the playoffs. They were completely banged up. They couldn't run the football. So I can't fault the New York Giants for doing that. Just 8, man. Thank you so much. He says, you should play Madden. I would watch that. I might play it in the offseason. A lot of people have asked me to do that. I might play Madden in the offseason. Not a lot, but maybe like once a week I'll have subscribers on. Demon, man, thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. He says, I mean to ask, over 2 or so years, we don't get good picks, top players. DJ stays at quarterback. Judge stays current. Offensive, defensive line, pretty much the same. Not this year. Demon, I'm trying to figure this out. Let me try to read your last super chat because I want to try to get this for you. Sorry, man. I'm trying to understand exactly what you're talking about. He says, all right, the current team wins some and doesn't get great picks. What do you think the ceiling is for this? So you mean in 2021? Okay, so I misinterpreted what you said, Demon. And if I did, I apologize. If you mean 2021, do I think the ceiling is playoffs? It's possible. It's possible. I'd have to see what they did in the offseason. I'd have to see how this team matures down the stretch. We play in such a bad division, and with the expanded playoff field, it's possible. Yeah, I'll say the ceiling is playoffs in 2021. Ceiling. I'm not saying the ceiling is any advancement in the playoffs, but yes. I'm not predicting that, but is it possible? Yeah. I wouldn't say likely, but it's possible. Greatness, man. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. Why didn't the Giants hire Eric Bieniemy? I liked Eric Bieniemy. I liked it, and our schedule will be easier too next year as well. Yes, I liked Eric Bieniemy. I did a video on. I think there was 7 head coaching candidates. Let me think if I could name all of them. You had Don Wink Martindale. You had Eric Bieniemy. You, of course, had Joe Judge. You had Chris Richard, the DB coach from the Cowboys. You had Mike McCarthy, who I didn't want. And maybe there was one more. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I like Bieniemy. I think the main reason why we didn't hire Bieniemy, one, I think Matt Rule, of course, was one of them. One, I legitimately think the New York Giants were blown away by Joe Judge in the interview. And I've heard that from a reliable source. I'm not going to talk about it, but I think they were legitimately blown away by Joe Judge in the interview. But the main reason why I think Bieniemy hasn't gotten a job, and I'm not saying he doesn't deserve one, the Kansas City Chiefs offense is fantastic, and other guys that have been coached under Andy Reid have gotten jobs. But I honestly believe the reason why teams have not been drooling over Eric Bieniemy is because he doesn't call the plays. He doesn't call the plays in Kansas City. He relays the plays to the quarterback. He doesn't actually call the plays. He's going to get a head coaching job this year, though. I promise you that. And I think the Jets are going to give him a job. I really do. I think Eric Bieniemy is going to probably be the hottest name in this year's coaching carousel. I think he's going to be the guy that teams are looking to bring in potentially. And you look at the Jets, and as crazy as this may sound, and, I'd have to look at all the other teams that are potentially looking for head coaches. I don't know who it's going to be yet. The Falcons, more than likely the Texans, definitely. But I look at the Jets, and I actually think it's a desirable job if they get the first pick, because you're going to have your safe quarterback. It's going to be Trevor Lawrence. That's desirable if they have the first pick. They have an emerging offensive line that's gotten better. Of course, they got a lot of draft picks because they traded away Jamal Adams. I think Eric Bieniemy, if the Jets have the first pick, will be the New York Jets head coach next year. Just Nate, man, thank you very much. I appreciate it. He says the floor this season is playoffs. The floor this season is playoffs. You're smoking ganja, my man. You're smoking ganja, my man. And Edgar, man, thank you so much, man, for the $5 donation. I really appreciate that. I want to see what Roldy said. So because Eli has 2 rings, was elite, and Brad Johnson, Trent Dilfer as elite. First off, they each have 1 ring. They don't have 2. Secondly, let's be real. Eli Manning carried that team in 2011. Those guys were game managers. Let's be real. Let's not put Eli Manning and Trent Dilfer in the same discussion. Come on, Roldy. You're better than that. You're better than that, Roldy. I know you're better than that. Let's not put them in the same discussion. And also, Roldy, let's look at those rosters. The Baltimore Ravens had maybe the best defense in the history of football, if not second best. And the Tampa Bay Bucks weren't far off. They had pretty damn good rosters around them. Okay, all right. Let's not put them in the same conversation, please. What's going on there, Authentic, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, he's and by the way, Authentic's got a great channel over there. Go check him out as well. Chris, did you make a card? I am going to be making a card channel. Anybody that's interested in that, I started collecting sports cards. I do it for fun, and I talk to people in my Discord all the time. I'm going to be starting a sports card channel. I don't know when I'm going to do it, but where I open up packs. I collect mainly basketball cards, football cards. That should be up in a couple of weeks, so I'm going to be doing that. Duchess, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Giants having a perfect season, 0-16. Go Cowboys. Well, Duchess, thank you so much for that. I honestly don't think the New York Giants are going to go 0-16. I really don't. I honestly don't. I think they're going to win at least 3 games. I could be wrong. I don't think they're going 0-16. As far as the Cowboys go, good luck. You might sneak into the playoffs because this division's horrible, but they're not doing anything. Alphabet, what's going on? Thanks for popping in the stream. He says, sup, Tana? I thought you said cars. Oh, no. Cards with a D. I don't collect sports cars. I don't get money like that. Danny Thomas, man, thank you so much for popping in the stream. What's your thoughts on moving Gates to the guard and trade Zeitler for the best offer? Then sign Justin Britt. I like the idea of bringing Sanu. What's my thoughts on moving Gates to the guard and trading Zeitler for the best offer? Danny, if you could get something for Zeitler, absolutely. I don't know. Here's the thing, though, Danny. I don't know how many, and I like Zeitler. Zeitler's a good guard. He's definitely a good guard. But I don't know. I talk about continuity with the offensive line, right? I talk about familiarity. Teams that are looking to bring in an offensive lineman midseason more than likely are a team that's competing for the playoffs. You would then be asking Zeitler to go to a team to play alongside offensive linemen for the last 8 weeks of the season, then go into the playoffs that he's never played with before. To me, you need familiarity. And if I was a GM, I wouldn't trade for an offensive lineman midseason. I wouldn't do it. If I was going to do it, I would do it in the offseason. Now, if you're asking me, would you do it in the offseason? Sure, if the right deal presented itself, if you felt like Lemieux could be the starter, or they, like I've talked about in the past, they could cut Zeitler. It's only a $2 million dead cap hit. Let's see what we got here. We could trade Zeitler after this. Yeah, after the season, it's possible, Simon. Chris, what's Jim Foss? But yeah, we could. I was going to say we don't have him under contract, but obviously we do. Chris, what's Jim Fossil doing these days? Isn't his son a quarterback or a coach? I can't remember. Jim Fossil I have not heard much about. But he was a pretty good coach for the Giants. I always thought he was underrated. I always thought he was a bit underrated. Edgar Martinez, man. Thank you, man. Thank you for all the love on the channel, man. I really appreciate that, man. I see you in the streams all the time. Thank you for being here. I really do appreciate it. Thank you to everybody for being here. I really do appreciate each and every one of you guys. It's been a while since I've done one of these. I love doing these because I love having guests on too, believe me. I get to conversate. I get to talk to the guests. It's a lot of fun. But in shows like this, it's kind of like you guys are my co-hosts. I get to talk to you guys. I get to answer your questions. We get to talk about movies. We get to talk about that I look like Pee Wee Herman. We get to do Jim Moore impersonations. It's a lot of fun. Thank you guys for being here. Hopefully you guys are enjoying your night. Hey, Chris, do you think there's any way if the offense stays this bad that Jason could get fired at the end of the season? Okay, as far as I appreciate that Open Minds freestyle. What's going on, Ashton, man? Thanks for popping in the stream. Bigger Mike there with the little, what's up there, Cash Chats? If we move on from Danny Jones, do you think we gave him a fair chance? No, I don't. But you know what? The NFL is a league where you don't get fair chances. It's unfortunate. I don't think we set him up the right way, and I hope that's not the case. I hope he proves people wrong. As far as Garrett goes, here's what I'll say about Jason Garrett, guys. And I know you guys don't like hearing, give it time. I get it. And I feel sometimes like I'm a broken record. I think we need to give it a little more time. I know you guys are shocked that I said that. But here's the thing. If you I was listening to Bobby on Talking Giants. He disagrees with me. He thinks we got to get rid of Jason Garrett. And maybe he's right. Maybe I'm wrong. I'd say it all the time. I could easily be wrong. I look at it right now. If your plan is to keep Daniel Jones, and I hope it is. I hope he proves people wrong. He goes out there. He proves that he could be the guy next year. And now, if you're moving on from Daniel Jones, you do whatever you want with the OC. But if your plan is to keep Daniel Jones has now been 2 years in the league. He's learned 2 schemes. If you then fire Jason Garrett and you keep Daniel Jones on as the quarterback, you're now going to start over from scratch again. You're going to say, scratch it up, new scheme. And it's going to be the same thing. First 3-4 games, he's learning the scheme. It takes time. Aaron Rodgers, it took a year until you saw the old Aaron Rodgers again learning the Matt LaFleur scheme. So, no. If you're keeping Daniel Jones, my answer is no. I need Jason Garrett to stay on for another year. That's my opinion. Dutch, thank you very much. Nightclub, bartender, match.com, or church group. I don't even know what to say to that. I'd go with the bar. Duchess. And GK, the movies, I'm going to have a lot more up in the offseason. I'm just so busy with sports. But I once things get back to normal with the pandemic and everything else where we can actually be going to movies too, I am going to get that channel up and running. It's just that me and my brother, we've kind of been on opposite schedules. He's getting married in like a month. I've been really bogged down with the sports, but I will get more content up on that page, I promise. Simon says, only way Garrett gets fired is if Gettleman's fired. Even then, he may not get fired. If they keep Daniel Jones, I'm hoping they keep Garrett one more year. I know some people may not want to hear that, but then you're gonna ask Daniel Jones to learn a third scheme, and then you're going. I talked about Alex Smith earlier. Alex Smith, go back and look at his career history. Alex Smith went through offensive system after offensive system after offense. His first 5-6 years in the league, he didn't know what the hell he was doing. First year, he's learning English. Second year, he's learning Chinese. Third year, he's learning Spanish. Fourth year, he's learning French, Italian. He went through like 6 schemes in his first 6 years. Then he got stability, and all of a sudden, Alex Smith's a good quarterback. So I am not in favor of going through 3 different schemes in 3 years. I think you're setting him up for failure. You can't do it. Bring back Shermer as the coordinator. But if you're Denver, why do you want to get rid of Shermer? If he's doing a good job there, why do you want to get rid of Shermer? I like Jones, but I hate Garrett. So if one goes, they both have to go. Then see you later. Yeah, I mean, listen, if you're moving on from Daniel Jones, you could start from scratch. Hey, Chris, if Mara didn't put his 2 cents about Garrett, who would have been the OC? I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't know. I'd have to think about guys that probably had ties to Joe Judge. That's probably who it would be. I don't think Bieniemy would take a lateral move to – well, you know what? And we'll never know this. Maybe it's possible if they gave Eric Bieniemy playing call duties, he could have come on as the OC because he doesn't have the playing call duties with the Chiefs. That would have been sick. But I don't know. I have no idea. Do you think Bill Belichick is a potential GM? Yeah, sure. I mean, he's a great football mind. He's been the GM with the Patriots, hasn't he? I think he's in charge of the personnel moves there, or maybe his son is. I don't remember. Yeah, I think he is a potential GM. But don't get your hopes up. What's going on there, Danny, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, buddy. As frustrating as it will be, I feel nobody should get fired after this offseason. Everyone's still learning and changing it up every year isn't good for the young players. JJ, I would not be opposed to that, to be completely honest with you. I know the thing is, though, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I wouldn't. I wasn't opposed to it last year. You go back and look at my videos. I made a video when everybody was saying fire Shermer like 4 weeks before the end of the season. I was kind of like, I don't know if this is a good idea. So I would not be opposed to it because of what you just said. But I do think that they're going to make moves. I could be wrong, though. I do think they're going to make moves. We should hire Bill O'Brien. You know, Crimson Shadow, it's funny that you mentioned that. Bill O'Brien. Because when Bill O'Brien was fired, the first thing that popped in my head was like, oh, shit. Bill O'Brien has ties to Joe Judge. He's got GM experience. I was like, I hope not. I don't think it would happen. I agree. I want to keep everyone but Garrett. He sucks. Cash Chat says, hey, Entertainer Talking Sports. What's going on there, 69? Lucky, thanks for popping in the stream. I would give anything to see Romo versus Manning. Oh, God, those were the best, weren't they, Zach? We usually beat you guys, though. You definitely wrong. DG is not going anywhere. Mikey C says, hey, if he doesn't go anywhere, you're not going to see me cry. I agree with keeping the DC, but we need an OC that could scheme players open. Dan B, you know what? At the end of the year, if the offense looks completely anemic, and we move on from Jones, I think you'll get a new OC. And if you bring in a new OC, okay. But then I'm going to say the same thing in the offseason, guys. Don't expect it to click right away because now you're asking a quarterback to learn a third scheme in 3 years. How have I been watching you for 2 years and you're still a midget? Pavith, I don't know what it is, man. I don't know why you think I'm a midget. I'm actually 5'10", 5'10.5", but you seem to think I'm a midget all the time. I don't know. I know it's early, but who do you think wins this division? I might say the Eagles, to be honest with you, Danny. But my short answer to you is it doesn't matter. Whoever wins is going to get destroyed in the playoffs anyway, because this division's horrible. But I might say the Eagles. I mean, the Cowboys' defense is really bad, and Mike McCarthy's not a good head coach. You know, I saw a lot of Cowboys fans happy when they hired him. I'm not a fan of Mike McCarthy. I might say the Eagles. You guys are scrappy. You guys find ways to win football games. Giants win the division going 5-11. It's possible. Keys to a Giants win. Blake, my keys on offense, I said this on Twitter earlier. My keys on offense this week for the New York Giants, the biggest key for me is the red zone efficiency. The last couple of weeks, we have not been able to score in the red zone at all. We've settled for field goals several times. Our red zone offense has to be much better. We have to convert, instead of 3, we need 7. So the red zone offense is a big key for me in this football game, especially going up against a team like Dallas, because you know that they're going to put up points. And to the contrary, I think it's the reverse on defense. I think the defense has to have a bend but don't break approach. You know Dallas is going to move at 20-20. We just can't stop their receivers. But when they get close, you've got to hold them to 3 more often than the touchdown. So I think the red zone is the biggest key for me. The establishing the ground game as well. The New York Giants have to be able to establish the ground game. They have to build off of what they did last week, where you started to see the run blocking come into play. Because if we get into a shootout with Dallas, it's lights out. We can't go toe-to-toe with a team like this. We just can't. So I think that we have to be able to establish a ground game, especially in a game like this. Because with all the firepower that Dallas has, I think we're going to have opportunities to throw the ball deep. And when they're there, I think we got to take advantage of it. But we have to be able to establish the ground game, and we got to be good inside the 20-yard line. Haven't been good for a couple of weeks there. Actually, pretty much all season in that area. So we got the red zone to me is a huge key in this football game. Thoughts on Jones? I'm dumping his cards now. Will they still have value? Adam, I don't blame you. I told you guys I got cards. I got them over there. I've been investing in some sports cards myself. Jones is risky right now. I hope he turns it around. I still like Jones, but I wouldn't be investing in his cards. When is the Giants rebuild going to be over? Kevin said. Well, I'll say this. If we draft another quarterback, I can't give you an answer. First off, I can't give you an answer no matter what. But if we draft another quarterback, that's kind of like the rebuild starts all over again. That's the way I look at it. For all the tank for Trevor people, you bring in a new GM, you bring in a completely new quarterback, you have rookie growing pains. So if we draft a quarterback, it starts all over again. Now, I'll give you a better answer at the end of the year. We'll see what Daniel Jones does. We'll see how this defense progresses over the course of the year. We'll see what the offensive line looks like. But if Daniel Jones shows that he could be a good quarterback by year's end, and they're going to stick with him, I think we could be competitive next year. I do, depending on what we do in free agency, depending on what we do in the draft, depending on how these guys grow, because this defense is definitely taking steps. And if you add a couple of impact pieces, you get McKinney back, we could have a really good defense. I'm not saying we're going to be a very good team next year, but I think we could be a decent team next year. But I can't give you a real answer until the end of the year. Just looked it up. Romo was 10-6 versus Mayo. Oh, then I am mistaken on that, Zach. But Eli won the big games. Defense is actually playing well. A couple of free agents look good. Ingram is a major life. Yeah, Ingram can't block, Adam. Ingram can't block. Best pass defense in the NFC East. I told Joshua, our defense has played well. It's way ahead of schedule. What's going on there, King 26 Reyes, man? Thanks for popping the stream. I think we need to bring in a Revis level DB ASAP, and the D stands up, but we need some real pressure for opposing quarterbacks. I mean, I would love that. Darrelle Revis is probably I'm going to say this. Maybe I'm wrong on this. Listen, Deion Sanders was flashy as hell, and he is probably the greatest DB in my lifetime. But Darrelle Revis at his peak, probably the greatest DB I've ever seen. Darrelle Revis at his peak for those 2 or 3 years. Go back and look at the wide receivers he held down to 0 yards. You don't find Darrelle Revis. They don't grow on trees. But I get your point. If you could find a We need another very good cornerback. I agree with that. What's going on there, Stealth Raven, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Who will play longer, Rivers or Breeze? I think there's a good possibility that they both retire this year, to be honest with you. I think there's a possibility they both retire this year. Breeze isn't playing that well. He looks like a game manager at this point in his career. Rivers is up there in age. Rivers, to me, is a game manager, but he's in a really good situation. It depends on what the Colts do this year. If you ask me who has a better chance of playing through this year, I would guess Rivers. A lot of people speculated that Breeze was going to retire after this year. Rivers is in a really good situation with the Colts. They got young weapons. But I think it's possible they both retire after this year. Can we trade for Justin Herbert? Oh, man, I don't know if Christian Orr's in here. He loves Justin Herbert. Now, Chef, I'm going to say this. Justin Herbert looks really good. And I don't get to watch every game. I watch the highlights. I watched his second game, I think it was. He's definitely got the tools, and I never understood the hate for Justin Herbert. You had all these people that said, I looked at the film, he's not that good. Whenever I looked at Justin Herbert, I saw a quarterback that had the tools. He was smart. He had a good arm. He was accurate. Maybe not super accurate, but he was mobile. He was tall, athletic. But here's what I'll say. There was a lot of people saying the same thing about Daniel Jones 2 games into his career last year. Let's wait, not just on Herbert, on any quarterback 2 games into their career. Let's wait to see when defenses get a book on these quarterbacks. So I know people going crazy. Daniel Jones was phenomenal his first game. So I think Daniel Jones shows off this week. Brandon Stone, I agree with you. I agree with you. Crispy says Murray's overrated. When I say that, people call me a hater. So I'll talk about that at the end of the year. Do you think Buffalo is a Super Bowl contender? Yes. I think Buffalo is yes. I think Buffalo's great. I think they're very good. Bro, if we win the division with a 5-11 record, I'll lose my shit. That'll be single-handedly the most epic shit ever. Well, I'm trying to think if it's mathematically – it must be mathematically possible. I think 6 wins is probably the lowest, though, realistically speaking, to win the division. I'd be surprised if the division winner wins more than 8. And I'd be 7. If you ask me right now, I would say 7 has a very strong possibility of winning this division, and 6 has an outside chance. Like the Eagles already have a tie. I could see the Eagles going 6-9-1 and winning the division. The division is that bad. What's going on there, Lestat, man? Thanks for popping to the stream, man. Sexy Tane, I told you Jason Garrett is picking 9 inches. So Stealth, I don't remember you telling me that. I don't know where you got that information, but yeah, I don't even want to think about that. Look at the rest of the schedule. Over 2 wins is tough. It's a tough. Every team plays a tough schedule. What's up there, Andrew, in the NFCs? What's going on there, Andrew Boyle, man? Thanks for popping in. Should we build around the offense or defense? And Jenkins could be in Ballantyne's spot. We weren't keeping Jenkins. The guy was making too much money. He was a decent cornerback. And if we still had Janoris Jenkins, we don't have James Bradbury. We basically took Janoris Jenkins' money and we brought in Bradbury. You wouldn't have had both. Baker is the guy that you could say would have been the cornerback too. We never signed Bradbury if you still have Janoris Jenkins on this team. So, no. Danny says Arizona is this year's Browns. They are overrated. I said that from the beginning of the year. And after 2 weeks, I was like, maybe I'm going to look like a fool. But the last 2 weeks, they came back down to earth. I'll wait to reserve judgment on the Arizona Cardinals. But I do think they're a team that does it with smoke and mirrors. I don't like their offensive line. I don't like their defense. Zeke, man, thank you very much for love. I appreciate it. How good would this defensive front and the defense as a whole be with Yannick? He should be a giant. That's a cornerback 2 and an edge. That's what we need. And maybe we get Yannick next year. I don't think he signed a contract extension, and it doesn't have to be Yannick. We just need a really good edge. But yeah, Yannick on this team would be really nice. We definitely don't have an elite edge rusher or near an elite edge rusher right now. If we get that, this defense could be scary if you get yourself a solid cornerback too. And I'm kind of annoyed that we didn't bring in Cockrell. I liked Cockrell. Thought he would have been a really good fit with this team this year. But, yeah, Yannick would have been a nice fit. Now, I still don't think we would have been winning very many football games this year, even if we brought in Yannick. But I agree with you that we definitely need to hone in on the edge rusher this offseason. And I would guess it'd be smarter to do it in free agency than the draft itself. For the simple reason, there's not a lot of great edge rushers in this year's class, at least right now. That may change. by year's end. You don't know how these prospects develop throughout the year. I remember Josh Allen was supposed to be a second or third round pick. The edge rusher I'm talking about out of Kentucky, when the year started, he soared up draft charts. So that could change. But right now, Greg Rousseau is the only prominent name that you hear. So I would think that free agency may be the way that you want to attack that position. Thoughts on Logan Ryan? I like Logan Ryan. I was happy with the signing when we did it. They've matched him up a lot on the opposing tight ends. It's kind of a mismatch based on size. I think he's done an adequate job. I like Logan Ryan, and maybe they bring him back for one more year. Is the problem with the Giants coaching or personnel? More personnel, Kevin. More personnel. And I also think it's unfamiliarity. I wouldn't label that coaching. I would label it the players have to get accustomed to the new coaching schemes. But we're a young roster. And we play a tough schedule. I haven't really heard much about Josh Allen since the Jags drafted him. He had 10 sacks last year in his rookie year, Justin. This year, I think he's only got a sack, last I looked. But he had 10 sacks last year in his rookie year, and he didn't even start. He was a situational edge rusher. You had Yannick on that team, and there was another guy. I don't know why the names escape me right now. He was only out there for about 50% of the snaps, and he had 10 sacks in his rookie year. Do you think DeAndre Baker could have helped the defense? Of course. You go back, watch my videos before the year started. I said DeAndre Baker was going to be the X factor for this defense. And I think a major reason, like people are saying, and we're starting to see the Giants blitz more, but people at the beginning of the year were saying, why aren't the Giants blitzing more? Why aren't they blitzing more? They were only blitzing 11% of the time through the first 2 weeks. I think a major reason for that is because of their limitation at the second cornerback spot. DeAndre Baker to me this year was the X factor. Now, we don't know if DeAndre Baker would have progressed, but had he progressed into what he could have been, yes, he was a major piece for this team. You need solid cornerback play in a defense like this. So DeAndre Baker was a huge loss for us. Tana, does Logan Ryan become the cornerback 2 when McKinney comes back? It's possible, Simon. He's definitely not the long-term answer. He's definitely lost a step or two. But yeah, this year I could see them bringing him out, putting him out there when McKinney comes back. Absolutely. Campbell. Well, Campbell's an interior D lineman. Calais Campbell. I think they had another guy on the edge. I don't know why it's escaping me right now. Only true OGs remember it. That's right, man. Sup, Chris? How many points does the offense have to put up against Dallas for you to be convinced we got hope? We got to be in the 20s. We got to be in the 20s here. I don't want to keep making excuses for this offense. And this week is a tough week to make excuses. It really is. We got to be in the 20s. I'd like 24, 23, 24, 27. We got to put some points on the board. We got to score a couple touchdowns here this week. For me to honestly say I'm starting to see progression. We got to put the ball in the end zone. Let's see what we got here. Okay, you're handed the keys to the GM tomorrow. What are your first moves you make that come to mind? Okay, so we're talking right now. We're not talking offseason. We're not talking draft. First thing I do is I trade away Leonard Williams. I get of course, if I get offered the right package. If I get a third-round pick, I trade away Leo. If I get a third-round pick, I trade away Ingram. I accumulate draft assets. That would be the first thing I would do. Rank the NFC's quarterbacks. Jesus. Right now, you got to go Dak. Yeah, you got to. Carson Wentz has been bad. I mean, I know he won this week, but right now, Dak's 1. Carson's 2. DJ's 3, and Haskins is 4. Let's see what we got here. Can people see my chats? If you can reply. Yes, Cash. Sorry if I missed them. We got 500 people in here. But yeah, I've seen you a couple times. I've just been trying to read as many comments. You have been in the chat. Exactly what we've been saying. Cut the fat, acquire assets. Yeah, that's what I would do. Afghanistan, man. Thank you so much. Joshua Grant says, why not trade Tomlinson? Because you're not going to get much for him. He's not as valuable as Leonard Williams. Leonard Williams is a more valuable player than Dalvin Tomlinson. I love Dalvin Tomlinson. There's not a lot of GMs in the NFL that strongly value a nose tackle, which is pretty much what he exclusively is. So you're just not going to get as much. I'd rather, in terms of who's a better player, I think Leo's a better player. I like both of them. But I would trade the player that I could get more for. And I get more for Leonard Williams. And he's going to ask for a lot more money this offseason. Is Ingram worth the first-round pick? No. Daniel, I say it all the time about Evan Ingram, and I'm not trying to bash Evan Ingram. Matter of fact, I was hyping up Evan Ingram this year. I was on the Ingram hype train this year, which was a mistake, but I did think he fit the scheme well. Evan Ingram was I'm not going to say it was the worst first-round pick by Jerry Reese because Eric Flowers was a disaster, and Eli Apple was a disaster. But of all the first-round picks that Jerry Reese made, it was the one that made the least amount of sense. The Eric Flowers pick, of course, made sense. He just missed on the player. The player wasn't good. The Eli Apple pick made sense. We needed a cornerback. The Evan Ingram pick, I don't care if Evan Ingram turned into Jimmy Graham. It was a bad pick. It was a bad pick. It was a luxury pick. We had a team that couldn't block, and you drafted a tight end who couldn't block. It was a bad pick. And you had Watt there, and, of course, you had Ramczyk there, the all-pro offensive lineman. It was a horrible pick. What's going on there, Zeke fan? Thanks for popping in the stream. We'll see you this week, my man. I think it's ironic that Gettleman said he didn't use analytics then, said it was a joke. I don't think it was a joke considering he got some computer folks this year. No, you definitely need to incorporate analytics in today's game. I don't like people who use it as the complete toolbox. I say that all the time. But I do think you need to incorporate it. Entertainer needs to trade these oh God, Wuda. Let's see what we got here. Who would you trade first, Shepard, Ingram, or Tate? You're not getting anything for Shepard or Tate. Ingram's the only one that has any value. So Ingram. If I could get rid of either one of the other two, I'd trade them first because their contracts are bad. But nobody's taking on those contracts, at least in my opinion. So I trade Ingram. Packers are great, cool guy. Other than Sunday, Wentz has been terrible this year. Yeah, no, Dak's ahead of Wentz right now. I asked some people, and they said they liked Odell trade because he was a punk, but others said, what's my opinion? Buttermilk, I admit when I'm wrong. I'm not going to fully admit that I was wrong. I still understand why the Giants made the trade. Absolutely understand why the Giants made the trade, and I'm not going to get into the reasoning. I think most people with common sense know that the reasoning as to why they would have traded him away. But yeah, I'd be lying to you if I don't think Beckham, if we have Beckham on the team, winning that many more games because we still have so many holes. But it would definitely help out Daniel Jones right now. So yeah, I get what. But here's the other thing I'll say about that. And I knew it was going to happen. You go to my Discord. I said the morning of the games this week, I said, who's ever plays daily fantasy football, put Odell Beckham in your lineup. And I knew it was going to happen. The Cowboys defense is awful. So everybody that's hyping up Beckham, now let's see him do it against the real defense. He did it against the worst defense in football. I expected him to have a huge game. So, I mean, it is what it is. Do I think that trade was the end of the world? No. Do I think it would help Daniel Jones right now? Yeah. We need a number one wide receiver. So I see why people are upset about it. We'll get him and still be here at the trade deadline. Yes, I think he will be. I don't think they'll trade him. I don't think they'll fire him before the trade deadline. But I could be wrong. Let's see what we got here. How different would DJ be if Odell was still a Giant? It's swag. I don't know. That's impossible for me to tell you. We'd still have problems with the offensive line. I'll tell you that. I don't think it would be much better. It would be better, but I don't think it would be significantly better. Can we move on from McKinney and Love at safety and trade Peppers for the value, or is Peppers not worth trading? Peppers is hurt right now. So if he comes back and he's healthy, maybe that's a guy you could get some value for. Possibly. Zeke fan says Cowboys need to fire Mike Nolan. Mike Nolan, I remember him when he was a coach with the 49ers. How active do you think Gettleman will be at the trade deadline? I think he needs to be active. He wasn't active last year. I was disappointed with that. And the one move he made, he bought a player with Leonard Williams. I think he needs to sell, obviously, unless this team really, wins the next 3 games. But I think the trade deadline's after week 7, if I remember correctly. I think he needs to be active. I think he needs to trade a couple of these players to get draft picks. We only have 5 picks, I think. Slick says, why do you think we don't use more 2-back sets and use Ingram in a back role like Chris Cooley? In a back role. What do you mean? Is like an H-back? Is that what you mean? I've seen them use him as an H-back, but it's limited. I don't know. That's a good question. We do it. They were using a lot of 3 tight end sets the first week. We haven't seen that so much recently. I'd like to see them get more creative with Evan Ingram. What's your thoughts on the Giants being buyers at the trade deadline? Buying for what? Buying for what? If they win the next 3, I probably still wouldn't be a buyer, but there's no point in buying. I mean, if you're 1-6 at the deadline, why would you buy? Why would you give up draft capital in a year where you're not doing anything? They have to be sellers. They have to be sellers. When's Peppers back from injury? That I don't know. I haven't heard a lot on the Peppers front. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. Hopefully sooner than later. We need him. I'll tell you what though, even before the injury, if you asked me who's the most disappointing player, at least on the defense, it was Peppers. He was not playing well, even before the injury. I mean, my God, that guy missed. How many tackles did that guy miss the first 2 weeks? Will Sanu be a good wide receiver? I don't mind picking up Sanu. I talked about that today. Is he a guy that's going to, be a world beater? No. But, yeah, could he be a decent piece to fill until Shepard gets back? Yeah. And we need all the help we could get right now. What's up, Dana? Just got here. What's going on, Sarge, man? Thanks for popping in the stream. I want to see Peppers and McKinney. I think we will. I think you'll see Peppers at safety this year with McKinney. I think unless we trade Peppers, but I don't think we are. Glad to see you guys here. We're gonna go. What time did I start? I started at 9:15. We'll go to like 11:30, maybe 11:40, 11:45. We'll go for another half hour or so. Thank you guys for being here. Really, you appreciate it. Thank you guys for being the best supporters on YouTube. Can never say it enough. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying your Tuesday night. Haven't done one of these in a while. I just talked to you guys, so I wanted to do that today. Really, the only day I could do it. I'm gonna be live with Bad Dog. I'm not sure how it fits his schedule. I know the Yankees are in the World Series. I know he's got the Lakers. But I'm going to be on with Bad Dog one day this week, Thursday or Friday, probably doing the Talk of Giants. And then the game's going to be here this week. Hopefully you guys come by for that. Also, I want to get the subscriber thing going on Saturday. I want to try to do that again, get some more of you guys on the channel. I have so much fun doing that. And if Roldy's still in here, I'll reach out to you on Twitter if you're not. But I definitely have you on. I know you've asked to do that. Would love to have you on, get a couple other subscribers on as well. Have a couple of YouTubers on. Should be a lot of fun. First time here, you're fantastic. Would love to discuss cards more with when time permits. Yeah, Adam, I don't know if you were here when I said it earlier, Adam. I'm going to do a card channel, and I don't know a ton about it. I used to collect sports cards, and I got back into the hobby like so many other people have with this pandemic because you're looking for something to occupy the time. And I'm loving it. I'm enjoying it. So I said, why not? I talk about them all the time on my Discord. So I'm gonna start a card channel. Maybe within a week or two. So yeah, I'll let you know. Lax, man, thank you so much for love. I appreciate it. He says, if we end up with the first pick, they should trade it for 5 first-round picks and use them to fill the holes. Forget Trevor Lawrence. I would love to do that. I would love to get a boatload if we could do that. I would love to do it. That's my mindset. If you could do that, if you could get a king's ransom, I'm all aboard. The thing is, you could regret it, though, if Lawrence turns out to be the next Peyton Manning. So I understand both sides of it. Should they sign Dez? Should they sign Dez? I don't think they're going to sign Dez. I understand it because of the whole Garrett scheme. He's played in it before. I don't think they're going to sign Dez. I don't see it. What is going on, Scottzilla? No, Scott. Matter of fact, I got cards right here. I just bought a box set the other day. These are random cards. I didn't put them away, but no, Scott, a sports card channel. Sports card channel. Been collecting cards, so I'm probably going to start a sports card channel where I open up boxes live and as I try to chase, good rookies, Shaquille O'Neal, stuff like that. What's up there, Christoph Porzingis? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. First position to draft next year, Kevin says. First position to draft next year. Again, it depends where we're picking. That's impossible for me to answer right now. But outside of the obvious, if we have the number one pick, you could take Lawrence. In terms of our needs, it's a corner, it's an edge, it's a coverage linebacker, and it's a wide receiver. It's one of those 4 positions. Is that the old Nets card? This is 1990 Fleer. I actually pulled, I think, 4 Jordans in the box. If they're in perfect condition, they go for about $200 a piece. And I appreciate everybody for being here. Thank you guys so much. If you haven't done so, please hit that thumbs up. I do appreciate it. Do you trust Saquon Barkley in the future? Not just Daniel, that's impossible for me to answer right now. I don't know how he's going to respond from the ACL injury. But he's obviously my favorite player. I say it all the time. I bought his jersey the second we drafted him. I don't want to hear any quarterback trade. Trade talk. Jones is fine. Listen, I want Jones to be the guy, man. I want Jones to be the guy. Period. I want Jones to be the guy. Are you going to try to go to whichever game the Giants plan to honor Eli? Yes. Give my foot. Matter of fact, you can book that right now. What's up, Chris Gonzalez? Thanks for popping in the stream. You can book that right now. I talk about trying to go to 2 games a year. One on the road, hopefully, in the future. I would love to organize that. I keep talking about that. As the community hopefully grows and everything else, I want to organize, once things get back to normal, a trip, where maybe 20 of us, 30 of us, 40 of us, we go on a road game. We spend a couple days in a city, whatever. I would love to do that. I want to do 1 road game a year. I want to do 1 home game a year. And 1,000% this year, I'll be doing the next year rather. If the stadium is open, I will 100% be going to the game where they retire Eli Manning's jersey. 1,000%. I'll also be streaming. I will be at his Hall of Fame induction ceremony. I promise you that. Hard to do that when you live in Alabama. I hear you, Mr. Mini Guy. I don't think they've announced. I don't think they've announced the game. It was supposed to be this year, but obviously with everything that happened. Victor, Tana, you're looking forward to being the next Umbrella Academy. Oh, God, Umbrella Academy is phenomenal. Anybody that hasn't checked out Umbrella Academy, please do so. I love that show. The 3rd season is not going to be out for like a year, though. The 2nd one just came out, but yeah, I love that show. Harder to do when you live in Hawaii. I've been to Hawaii once. I went to, I only went to one island. I went there for a wedding. It was Kauai. It's where they filmed Jurassic Park. Hell yeah, count me in, Chris. Chris K, yeah, man, I'd love to do that, man. Hard to do when you live in Australia. Wow. I didn't know you lived in Australia. How you doing that, mate? That is probably not an Australian accent, but I tried my best. Anthony Davis got injured. It looks bad. I doubt that it's bad, but I'm just saying, oh, wow, I hope he's all right, man. Chris, you need to watch The Boy. I heard Boys is great. I watched 1 episode. I watched it with my sister about a month ago, and I got to get on that. The Boys looks like a cool show. It's kind of like the reverse. Usually it's the superheroes are the good guys. Superheroes are like the villains. Who was your least favorite Giant? McAdoo. I didn't like McAdoo. I didn't like his attitude. The team quit on him. I didn't like McAdoo. The Australian accent. I tried. I do not watch Blacklisted. I know it's a good show, though. I've heard it's a good show, Derek. I love Barkley and think he is great, but people say we are wasting his talent. Do you think he resigns or go? He's not going to resign. He's only 23 years old. He's not going to resign. Oh, I read that wrong. Resign. I'm sorry. I can't answer that question yet. I got to see how he responds from the ACL, and I got to see how this offensive line looks. If he feels like he can have a future with this team, absolutely. I could see him sticking here long term. You should watch All American. I did watch All American. It was very good. I enjoyed it. Oh my God, sorry I'm late. Sup, Tater? Dustin, man, never apologize, man. We're gonna be live for about another half hour. So thank you for popping in the stream. Chris, what happened to the movie? Jamie, I'm still doing that. I just got caught up. My brother's getting married in a month, so he's busy. I'm busy with the sports content. I'm gonna get back to that. I don't know if I'm not gonna be able to put as much work as I do to this, but I do it for fun, man. I love talking movies, so we'll be back to that. It's just right now I'm so busy with the sports. Lucifer is great. I've watched that already. I love Lucifer. Breaking Bad is my favorite show of all time. Rohan, my favorite show of all time. What's going on there, Johnny boy, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, buddy. Are you excited to draft our franchise punter? The punter, I was saying this earlier today on Mike's channel. Our punter is the only guy who doesn't need practice. He gets all the practice he needs in the games. He's the only guy on our team who doesn't need practice. And he's probably our best player. Are you excited to draft? I already read that. Hey, Chris, a.k.a. the Hogfather. I got to make a t-shirt. I like that. The Hogfather. What do you think of getting the Oregon tackle in the first? Listen, Mariano, if you watch my channel, Mariano, you know I'm all about the big fatties. And, I'm not going to cry. Let's put it that way. If we draft the guy who's supposed to be a generational tackle, I know Great Wood, if he's still in here, would hate that. And I know a lot of people would hate that. But I'm all about the fatties, man. I'm all about long-term stability, long-term success. I think you need a strong line in order to do that. I wouldn't be crying. No way I missed this. I'm really into the Yankees game. Boone is an idiot. Yeah, I'm not a Yankees fan, so I'm not watching it. But thank you for being here, Legman. I appreciate it. Sopranos is great. Love Sopranos. Do I think Dan Reeves was a good coach? I was born in 85. I saw Dan Reeves for a bit. I think that's the first coach that I really got to see with the New York Giants when I started to understand football. With the Giants, he didn't do that good of a job. Let's see what we got here. Gentlemen, please tell me. Yeah, I knew Great wouldn't like that. Thoughts on Trey Lance? I don't know enough about him. I've seen highlights. I've seen what people have said about him. I know he's got unbelievable stats. I know I think he plays at North Dakota. I don't know enough about him. But here's what I'll say. If he's not a generational quarterback, I'm not even thinking about him. He has to be a guy that's a once in every 6-year prospect. Otherwise, I'm not even thinking about him. What's going on there, DJB? Trade Ingram and draft the Penn State tight end. Everybody's been raving about the Penn State tight end. But I don't want to draft the tight end early. I don't. We have too many other holes. I think Caden Smith is fine. I mean, obviously, I would like an upgrade, but I think we have other holes at more important positions. I don't want to draft the tight end that early. Chris, what do you think of Justin Fields? I've seen him play a bit. Again, I don't want to draft him. I don't, because I think he could be a really good quarterback, but I don't think he's like a guy like Trevor Lawrence to me has the possibility of being the best quarterback in the league. I don't view the other two guys as having that. I could be wrong, but I don't. At least from what I've read, and from what I've seen, and when people break down game film. Is Tana a thug? Not that I know of. I don't think I'm a thug. After seeing how Herbert has performed, do you wish we would have took him? Like I said earlier, somebody brought up Herbert, man. Daniel Jones looked the same way after 2 games. Let some defenses get a book on him. But I always liked Herbert. We didn't have an opportunity to take him. I mean, well, we did this year, but we already had a quarterback. So we never had the opportunity, so I'm not going to regret that. Steven, man, thank you. So I don't know why. I started getting a stuffy nose, man. I don't know what just happened, but I'll push through it. Steven, man, thank you very much, man. I really appreciate it. Get DJ his weapon, Jamar Chase, Slayton picks. We trade back with Derek Stingley, 15 to 20 cornerback 2. Okay. You get Jamar Chase. Okay, so you're saying trade Slayton and picks. I'm trying to. Okay, so you're basically saying get in the 15 to 20 range, get yourself a cornerback 2, sign the best center, pass rusher in free agency, edge rusher linebacker, second or third, trade Leo, Ingram, Zeitler for picks. I agree with a lot of that. Steven, it depends to me where we're picking, but if we're at like 4 or 5, even though I'm not the biggest wide receiver guy, I see the need for it. So if he's that type of receiver, you're not going to hear me crying on draft night. If we're picking like 4 or 5, I personally would rather Swell, but I understand the need for a wide receiver on this team. I really do. And yeah, I mean that's our biggest needs. What you just wrote down there. That would be perfect. If we got a really good corner, we got a wide receiver, we got a center. Even though I still think Gates could be good, but I would like a real center. Your free agent edges, I think absolutely we need a free agent edge. 100% we need a free agent edge because I don't think it's a rich draft class at that position. And trading Leo, Ingram, and Zeitler, I can't disagree with any of that. I think you hit it right on the head. Those are the 3 most tradable assets we have. So good job, man. Thank you for the love. I appreciate it. Lax, man, thank you very much. No tight ends or wide receivers in the first round. They should draft an edge rusher or linebacker or corner round 1. I would lean more your way as well. Like I said, I'm not going to cry if they take a wide receiver if he's a guy that they think is like Larry Fitzgerald. I'd lean your way as well. Ideally, I would like a defensive playmaker in this year's draft. Ideally, if we're in the right position. Don't you miss the days of Strand? Oh, God. Kevin, are you kidding me? The NASCAR package? Oh, yeah. Throw Kiwanuka in there too, man. Absolutely, man. That's the types of Giants football that I remember and love, man. Those were the days. We need that. We need those guys back. Have you ever checked out Formula One Racing? The show on Netflix got me really into it. I have not. I saw, what's his name? Strong Opinion Sports, who I think has a great podcast. He's into that. I saw that he talks about that. Maybe I'm crazy, guys. I never got it, and I know a lot of people are into NASCAR, and maybe I got to go. People told me when you're there live, you appreciate it more. I never got the draw to NASCAR. To me, it's guys just driving around in a circle for 300 laps or 500 laps or whatever it is. I know F1 racing, I think, is just one straight shot. I never got it. I never got the draw to it. I've tried. I think I tried watching it like twice, and I was like, nah, I'd rather watch golf. If Ingram starts to impress, do we keep him or trade him before he starts doing bad again? You always want to trade a player when he's at his best. If Ingram's not in the long-term plans, you trade him. I'm the only one who doesn't like NASCAR. I don't like NASCAR, man. I don't like NASCAR. Yeah, the F1. People have told me about the F1. I've never watched it. Have you ever watched the Money Heist? Yes. You guys are naming all the shows that I've watched. Money Heist was fantastic. I loved it. Lucifer was fantastic. I love these shows. Do you think Parsons is the right move? Again, depending on where we're picking. But yeah, I like Parsons a lot. Everything that I've read about him, everything that I've seen on film, yeah, I like Parsons a lot. Why do the Giants post-game interviews sound repetitive? Because they want to. They want to. They don't want to give you anything, you know. They're very close to the vest. I was actually surprised that Joe Judge is doing that film analysis on YouTube, on the New York Giants YouTube channel. I love it. It's fantastic. But I'm surprised that they do that, to be honest with you. I want to go defense first round. Ligma, ideally, I would like to as well. But again, it all depends on value. It all depends on what you're picking. So it's too hard. It's too hard to pinpoint what they're going to do in the first round right now for sure. But yeah, I agree. I think we need one more defensive playmaker, but we also need a wide receiver. I get both sides of it. What are some good options for a GM BBP? BBP, what's going on? I saw you in the he's got a new YouTube channel, by the way. I saw him on Discord in the other server, the Giants server in there. So go check him out. What are some good options for a GM? Mike Two Nice actually did a really good video on that. There's a number of good ones. I would watch that video rather than go to me. I haven't done a ton of research on it because right now I'm still focused on the season. But the guy from the Colts was the guy that really impressed me when I did some research. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But yeah, there's a number of guys. There's a number of guys. Of course, you also got the guy from the Patriots. I don't know why the names escape me right now. The guy that's been linked to the Giants for like a year now, 2 years now. He has ties to Joe Judge. Those are the guy from the Patriots. I don't know why it's escaping me. Him and the guy from the Colts would be my two favorites right now. Ed Dobbs is the Colts guy. Yep, Ed Dobbs is the Colts guy. At Afghanistan, and Jake, man, what's up, man? Yeah, Nick something. Let's see. You think the Giants will do any trades this season, Johnny? Nick Casario. There you go, Nick Casario. That's the New England Patriots guy. Thank you. Yes. Yes, I do, Johnny. I think the Giants are going to trade. I think the Giants will make some trades. I think they'll be selling at the deadline. I could be wrong. I thought the same thing last year, and they didn't. But yes, I think they'll at least be looking to sell at the deadline. Ligma, I talked about that today with Mike. I was impressed, man. Lewis played great. Now, it's only one game. But I remember I was excited when we brought him in because he had experience with Patrick Graham, with the Miami Dolphins. He played there for 8 games last year. Lewis played really well. Now, Lewis is a little bit up there in age. He's 26, maybe 27. I can't remember. But he played really well in that game. Do I think he's the long-term answer? He's got a long way to go, but it was nice to see adequate corner play on the opposite side of Bradbury last week. He played really well. The best cornerback, the guy I keep hearing, and again, I haven't done a ton of research on the draft, but the guy I keep hearing, I think Surtain, I think that's his name, from Alabama. That's the corner I keep hearing about. I think that's it. Surtain? I think he's from Alabama. Yep, there it is. Patrick Surtain. Jalen just wrote it there. Patrick Surtain. Gettleman's whack ass, man. He doesn't do free agency and sucks at trades. For the most part, I get your frustration. Let's put it that way. New York Sims. I think they did a good job in free agency this year, but overall, I get where you're coming from. I think they actually did great in free agency this year. 26 is not old, Chris. No, it's not old. No, I'm not saying it's old, Wuda. I'm not saying it's old, but I'm saying he's not like 22. He's still got 4 years until he starts to get up there in age. He still could be a good player. No, but I'm talking about in relation to a lot of the other players in our secondary. We've got guys that are 22, 23, but yeah, no, he can still play. Oh, BBP, man, thank you so much, man. You didn't have to do that, man. Thank you so much, man. Go over there, check him out, by the way. Stand up, new member. Thank you for joining the channel, man. I really appreciate that. By the way, I'm going to be doing, I told Rudy earlier, you're a new member. I'm going to be doing a member stream, I'm hoping, in a couple of days. So hopefully you come by for that. I usually give away a fitted hat. Sanu would be a good pickup there. Yeah, I see no problem with Sanu. I saw a lot of backlash with that. Because, you know what it is? I think a lot of people looked at that video and they said, well, Sanu can't be the long-term answer. I'm not talking about long-term answer. I'm talking about a 3-4 weeks stopgap until such time Sterling Shepard gets back. We need somebody that he can throw the football to. Swell is one of the best O-linemen in a decade. That's what everybody says. Generational tackle. Matt, you never apologize for being late, man. Thank you so much for being here. Brandon Stone, peace out. Bedtime. See you Sunday. Brandon, I'll see you Sunday. Hopefully I see you before then, if you're free. I'm going to be live with Band Dog either Thursday or Friday, and I'm going to be live Saturday. I'm going to have some subscribers on the stream, so hopefully I see you before then. But Brandon, man, thank you so much for being a great supporter. Get some sleep, and I'll see you soon, man. Let's see what we got here. Andrew, there he is, the man of the hour. What's going on, AT? Thanks for popping in. Andrew Thomas, man, a couple of people are starting to question you on my channel. I'm saying ease off the kid a little bit. I think you're gonna be fine, AT. He says, "What is your Discord?" You know what? If Mike's in here or if somebody from my Discord is in here, if you could post the link to the Discord, I'd appreciate it. You can join it and you can talk Giants football and whatever else they talk about. Sometimes they go up the hinges a little bit, but you can join I know Jake's in here as well. Andrew says, if we get the first round pick the first pick in the draft and don't go quarterback, what will we get for trading down in the draft? You would get an absolute boatload if we traded down with the first pick in a year like this with a quarterback like Trevor Lawrence at the top. Again, it's all dependent on how far you're trading down. But let's say hypothetically I'm trading from 1 to 5. Let's say, insert team name here, Falcons, picking 5th. They say to themselves, we need a guy to replace Matt Ryan, whatever. They want to move up from 5 to 1. I'm asking for the 5th overall pick. I'm asking for this year's second. I'm asking for the 2021 first round pick and the 2022 first round pick. If I'm trading out of the Trevor Lawrence pick, I need like 3 first rounders. I need that year's first and 2 additional first. If I'm trading from 1 to 5 and giving you Trevor Lawrence. Guys like that don't grow on trees. You need a boatload if you're trading out from 1 to 5. So you would get a hell of a lot if you traded out from 1 to 5. Would you rather Rousseau or Parsons? I got to do more research on both of them, Matthew, before I answer that, to be honest with you. But they both fit what we need. We need an edge and we need a linebacker. Entertainer number 6101 is the username on Discord. BBT. Okay, BBP. Not sure. That's what I would want. If I'm trading out at number 1, I want 3 first round picks. You're talking about the best quarterback prospect since Andrew Luck. I want a lot. I want a lot. How are the Texans so bad right now? Watson is considered elite. Well, I'll tell you why they're bad. First off, I don't think they're as bad as their record. Look at who the Texans have played. The first 3 weeks, they played the Steelers, they played the Ravens, they played the Chiefs. They played the Vikings this week, I think it was. And I thought they'd win that game. I don't think they're good, but I don't think they're as bad as their record. But the Texans' offensive line sucks. They traded away their best offensive weapon with Hopkins. The defense is getting up there in age. I get it. I don't think they're as bad as their record, though. I think they'll still win 6 games, 7 games. I think they start up with a really tough schedule. Andrew Thomas, man, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that. He says, if there's no trade down, not enough value, who do you draft at 1? Oh man. If I was a GM and I was a new GM and I felt Trevor Lawrence was Aaron Rodgers type level, could be that type of player, I would have to take him. I would have to take him. And that's not a knock on Jones. But if I didn't feel that way, I either trade down or I take Lawrence. You can't in this year's draft, based on what everybody's saying about Lawrence, at least right now, if you have the first pick, if you're not taking Lawrence, you have to trade down. Just Nate, man, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Have a top 3 pick and take a quarterback or trade down. Top 3 pick, I'm trading down. I'm not taking a quarterback. The only quarterback I even think about taking is Trevor Lawrence. But again, I'm not rooting for that. I don't want I want Daniel Jones to be the guy. I don't think we're going to get the first pick, so I wouldn't worry about it. I don't think we're going to get the first pick. Do you think the rookie right tackle Matt Parrott can be the future? He looked good. Does that help, or still draft lineman and go guard? Here's my answer to that, Daniel. I think he could be good. A lot of people liked him. I remember doing a lot of research on him before the draft. People looked at him as a high upside prospect. He's got long arms. He's athletic. He's nimble. A little bit undersized in terms of the weight department. A lot of people said he needed to put on a little muscle, get a little meaner. I like Matt Parrott, and I think he could be a right tackle. But my answer to you is you never stop drafting the offensive line. You never stop drafting it. You always need good depth at that position. You need guys that could step in. You look at the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints had one of the best offensive lines in football last year. They still took an offensive lineman in the first round. You never stop drafting the offensive line. I'm not telling you that you always take one in the first round, but you have to continue to bring in an influx of talent on the offensive line. Because they see free agency. You always want to make sure that you have a strong front on the offensive line, because that's how your offense flows. All right, I'm going to have lunch. I'll see you in the Cowgirls game. That's right. You're in, I think you said Australia. So, yeah, enjoy your lunch, and I'll see you soon, Cash, man. Thank you for being here, buddy. This team needs to stop drafting O-line and draft some. Also, Daniel Jones is not the answer. He turns the ball over too much. Tank for Trevor. That's your opinion, Avery, and I respect it. I cannot say tank for any player 4 games into a season. Just Nate, man, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. He says, thoughts on Darnay Holmes and Julian Love. Julian Love came up with the interception, I think it was week 3, but that was kind of obviously Bradbury that caused it. Julian Love hasn't really stood out to me this year. I guess he's been okay. Darnay Holmes has gotten beat a bit in the slot, but he's a rookie. You expect that. Hasn't made much of an impact, but again, he's a rookie slot corner, 4th-round pick. He's going to go through his growing pains. I still like Darnay Holmes. I like Darnay Holmes a lot. Really hard worker, really smart kid. I think he's going to be a good football player. And I think Julian Love's a pretty good football player. I don't know if they're superstars, but I think they're good football players. Let's see. We need to get O-line and a playmaker or not. Agreed. That's our biggest problem on offense. We need our offensive. I think probably one more offensive line, but we need this offensive line to just get better. We need them to grow and get better. And we definitely need another playmaker on the outside. Are you all on Bad Dog Stream for the Giants Cowboys? It's going to be on mine, Authentic. We were on Bad Dogs last week. We're going to be on mine this week. By the way, I don't know if I said it earlier. I try to shout him out whenever I can. Authentic's been with me forever. I was watching his podcast for about 15 minutes when I have free time today. Does a great podcast. If you're an NFC East fan, check it out. Alex Mack and Corey, I like Corey Davis. I did a video on Corey Davis like 4 months ago. I think he is a potential free agent that we could target. He's tall, fits the scheme. He's relatively young. I like Corey Davis. I don't know how he's doing this year, but I like Corey Davis. I'm a Clemson fan, so taking Lawrence would be very exciting, Buttermilk says. I get it. I think most people would be excited if we took him. Yeah, they got a great podcast, Simon. If you traded for Ridley, there would be no need to draft Chase. If you traded for Ridley, there would be no need to. Yeah. I mean, maybe you're talking to somebody else in the chat, Lex. I don't see, unless there's rumors to that, I don't see why Atlanta would trade Ridley. Julio Jones is up there in age. He makes a lot of money. Ridley doesn't. I don't see why they would trade Ridley. I'm surprised we haven't brought back Corey, to be honest with you. But there's got to be a reason for it. There's got to be a reason that we cut him. He probably lost a step. You were talking to somebody in the chat. Okay. Who would you want for Daniel Jones? Okay, BBP. Here's what I'm going to say about Daniel Jones, because I've seen a lot of people talk about if you're going to draft Trevor Lawrence, you could trade Daniel Jones, and I mean, I don't know if you're asking for that or who would you want to help Daniel Jones, but let's just play the game. And, say that we were going to take a quarterback and you have to trade Daniel Jones. You're not getting much for him. You're not. And that's not because Daniel Jones is a bad quarterback. Two reasons. One, you'd be trading a quarterback off a sophomore slump. Two, he makes a lot of money. He was the 6th overall pick. He's going to be making like $8-9 million next year, and he's only got 2 more years of rookie control. You'd be lucky to get a 3rd-round pick for Daniel Jones next year if you trade him and you move on. That's my opinion, at least. I could be wrong, because if you look around the league, how many teams are going to need a quarterback? And the teams that do, how many of those quarterbacks aren't going to try to do it in the draft? So I don't see there being a lot of fits and you getting much for Daniel Jones if you elect to trade him. Anthony, man, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. Just got on. Sorry if you talked about this already. Not sure if he's the guy, but you can't give up on Jones. Was Josh Allen? I agree. I'm not giving up on Jones yet. I'm definitely not giving up on Jones yet. I'll say this, man. I've always liked Josh Allen. Josh Allen to me jumps off the page. He's an athletic freak, but you're right. Josh Allen was a project up until this year, and now you're seeing it start to pay off. Daniel Jones get a lot better. He could get a lot better. I have no doubt in my mind he could get a lot better. His team has to get a lot better for him to get a lot better. Allen got better over the course of the year, BB13. I agree. I said that in my video. This year. He only threw 2 picks over the last 11 games. This damn stuffy nose, man. First time I think I've ever gotten a stuffy nose while streaming. I'm pretty sure. First time I've ever gotten a stuffy nose while streaming. Who would you trade for? Not much. Julio Jones makes a lot of money. He's got injury problems. Not much. I'm looking for younger players. I'm not looking for older players. No, Muhammad, I do not. Don't even joke about that, Muhammad. Don't even joke about that. Who should the Giants trade before the deadline, if any? Somebody asked me that earlier. Leonard Williams, Evan Ingram. Those are the 2 most the strongest possibilities. The guys that I think can get the most back. Didn't Peyton Manning throw 43 interceptions his first 2? Peyton Manning threw 28 picks his first year. And probably 43 his first 2 seasons. So, yeah, he sucked. Eli Manning sucked his first year. So, yeah, it takes time sometimes. Did I play sports? Yes. Played baseball. I played football. High school. Baseball was my main sport as I got older. Played basketball too, but baseball is my best sport. We should trade Tate and Shepard. You're not getting anything for them, but if you can, absolutely. But, guys, it is 11:42. We went for 2.5 hours. Like I said earlier, tomorrow, if you guys are interested, hopefully some of you guys come by. I'm going to premiere my picks. I just think it comes out smoother that way. I'm going to do my weekly picks again this week. I'm going to have them up on the channel. It's going to be, 25, 30-minute premiere, so hopefully you come by for that. I'm going to be live either Thursday or Friday for Talking Giants. I'm going to be live with subscribers on Saturday, and then I'm going to be live Sunday calling the New York Giants game. Let me get to Anthony's super chat, man. Thank you very much. I don't watch college football. Is Trevor Lawrence a can't miss like Peyton Luck or Elway? If not, it's not worth it. Anthony, I can't answer that question yet. From what some scouts say, he is. He's the most talked about prospect since Andrew Luck. I can tell you that. And if the general manager feels that he is, you have to take him because those guys don't grow on trees. And it's the most important position. But if he's not, I agree with you. You don't take him. You don't take him. You build the team around Daniel Jones, and if Daniel Jones doesn't work out the following year, then you revert back to the draft and maybe you take quarterback then. Or maybe you sign a free agent quarterback that can compete with Jones as a stopgap. But I agree. Unless he's a generational quarterback, you have a quarterback in place that's shown glimpses of hope. You don't jump the gun there. You try to improve the other holes on this roster. But thank you guys for being here. Really do appreciate it, man. Adam, man, you have a great night. Alex, have a great night. Simon, have a great night. Wuda, have a great night, man. I appreciate it. What about the Tata trade? These stupid questions you made in the what, Wuda? Ashton, have a great night. Daniel, have a great night. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. When are you going live again so I can be here? I'm going to be live either Thursday or Friday. Not sure of the day. I don't know Bad Dog's schedule. If we're talking Giants, Saturday, I'm definitely going to be live around the same time. Figure 8:30, 8:45. Going to have subscribers on the channel via video. Should be fun. And then Sunday, I'm going to be calling the Giants game. So thank you guys for being here. Really do appreciate it. John Williams, have a great night. Muhammad, have a great night. My man, Authentic, have a great night. Kevin, BBP, thank you guys so much for being here. Sean Torres, you guys have a great night. Thank you guys for being here. Tafia, Chris K, Sims, have a good night, man. Sarkin, man, have a great night, my man. Sarkin's awesome. JDJ, man, have a great night. Thank you to everybody for being here. Thank you guys for all the love and support you guys always show me. I'm sure I'll have a video up tomorrow. Hopefully I don't have a stuffy nose. I'm sure I'll have a video up tomorrow. Karan Gill, man, thank you so much, man. I really do appreciate it. Are you shocked the defense is fifth right now? I'm impressed. I am. Karan, I am absolutely shocked. Russ, have a great night, man. Earl, you're the best. You're the man, Earl. Thank you for being here, buddy. Mr. Minigun, I am shocked, Karan Gill, in terms of the defense. If you would have told me 4 weeks into the season, the New York Giants are going to have the fifth best defense in terms of yards against, and let's not forget, the LA Rams had the best ranked offense going into that game. Yes, I'm beyond shocked. I'm beyond thrilled at the growth of this defense. I think it's going down the right path, and I think we're a couple of players away from having a defense that you're going to be proud of on Sundays. There are definitely positives to this season so far. There's a lot of negatives, but there's definitely positives. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. Tornado, have a great night, man. Simon, you have a great night. Batista, have a great night. You guys are phenomenal. You guys are the best. I'll see you guys soon. Get some sleep. Let's go New York Giants.